Stop scrolling because you're not here by chance. This moment was ordained before time met you. I orchestrated everything that led you to this very message, not because I had to prove my love, but because I heard your whispered cries and your silent desperation. You've been walking through your days with a brave face, but inside, your heart has been breaking under the weight of unspoken burdens, hidden questions, and aching hope. And now, here it is, your sign. Not vague, not delayed, not imaginary, but clear, direct, and undeniable. I knew you would need something that could pierce through your doubts, so I sent this message as a divine appointment. Every part of this moment is dripping with intention. You've questioned if I see you. You've wondered if I still care. You've been begging for clarity in the secret places where nobody sees. And so I answer you now, not through thunder, not through earthquakes, but through this simple, quiet message that's louder than everything you've been fearing. This is me speaking. This is me reaching. I know the exact pressure points on your heart. I know how long you've been waiting. I know the way you clench your fists in the dark, trying to stay strong for everyone else while your own soul feels like it's unraveling. This message is your confirmation that I have not left you for even 1 second. I've been tracking every tear, counting every breath, and carrying your name on my heart through every hour of your confusion. You don't need another sermon. You don't need more advice. What you need is reassurance that I have not changed my mind about you, and here it is. I haven't. This sign is not a coincidence. It's the voice of the shepherd calling out to his lost lamb. It's the light breaking through your longest night. It's the whisper of heaven answering the ache of earth. You asked me to show you something real, so I'm showing you this. Pay attention. Let it sink in. Let it break through the crust of disappointment that's hardened over your faith. Let it be the first of many confirmations that you are still on track even when everything around you tries to convince you otherwise. I know the battle you're facing in silence, and that's why I placed this message directly in your path. This is the first knock on the door of your spirit. I'm asking you to open it. This is not the end. This is the invitation. This is me saying, yes, I heard you. Yes, I care. Yes, I have already begun. You've been carrying the weight of silence, haven't you? The kind that feels endless, where you speak into the heavens and hear nothing in return. You wonder if I've gone quiet, if my ears have closed, if your voice got lost in the noise of the world, but I need you to know, right now, with no doubt left in you, that not a single sigh, not a single groan, not a single word from your lips has ever been ignored. I saw them all. I heard them all. I was moved by them all. Every time you felt alone and kept whispering my name anyway, those were the moments that stirred my heart deeply. You thought your voice was too small, your pain too hidden, your needs too buried beneath everyone else's, but I was listening closer than you ever imagined. Your tears were not wasted expressions, they were sacred seeds. They watered the soil of miracles you have yet to see bloom. Each time you pressed through confusion and dared to hope again, even while trembling, it brought a fragrance to my throne that only faith can release. I have not forgotten the nights when you knelt on tired knees, begging me for just one sign that I still cared. And now I'm telling you plainly, I did care, I do care, and I always will. I didn't need thunder to prove it, because the love I have for you is steady, quiet, persistent, and all-consuming. It wraps around every word you've ever prayed, even the ones you regretted praying because they came from pain, not peace. I can handle the pain. I can handle the desperation. I can even handle your questions because I see the heart behind it. You weren't rebelling, you were reaching. And I saw that reaching. I caught every drop that fell from your eyes like rain. I stored them in my book, not to shame you but to show you that you were never invisible to me. The enemy wanted you to believe that your cries went unheard so you'd give up just before the answer arrived. But now, I'm shattering that lie. I'm proving to you that I've been beside you in the darkest corners, collecting every sacred sound that came from your soul. I did not delay to punish you, I waited to answer at the perfect time, the time that would lift you higher than you asked to go. And that time begins now. You don't have to fight for my attention. You already have it. You don't have to scream for me to respond. I'm already leaning in. You don't have to repeat your pain over and over. I've already written the remedy. The door between your heart and heaven has never been shut. I've been speaking into your situation even when you felt deaf to hope. I've been moving pieces behind the veil even while you assumed nothing was happening. I saw you when your prayers were just exhausted groans. I honored you when you showed up broken but faithful. You are not just a voice in the wind. You are a child that I delight to hear. You've been talking to me when no one else knew how to listen. And now, it's my turn to answer in a way that only I can. Expect my voice to become louder. Expect my signs to become clearer. Expect the drought to break. Because I have not missed a single detail of what you've endured. You thought I wasn't listening, but the truth is every time you opened your heart, I was already there, gathering every word with holy care. This message is not just a reminder, it's a breakthrough in motion. Don't stop speaking, even now, because I am responding, and this is only the beginning of what I have to say. There is a divine precision to this moment, and it's no accident that your heart and this message have collided right here, right now. I have been waiting not because I was far from you, but because timing matters to me more than anything you can imagine. You see, there are certain truths I've longed to whisper into your spirit, but you weren't in the right place to receive them before. Your mind was distracted, your emotions were stormy, your soul was still healing. But now I see your spirit leaning in. I see the hunger rising. I see the layers of resistance beginning to crack. And because you are finally at the threshold where your heart can absorb what heaven has been aching to reveal, I'm stepping forward. This is not a random word sent out into the air. This is me pressing my hand to your chest and saying, now, listen. This is the time. I have been speaking in ways you didn't recognize, through circumstances that felt confusing, through people who didn't always say the right things, through moments of deep stillness that seemed silent but were filled with purpose. And while you thought nothing was happening, I was aligning your internal world to be open to something greater. You had to walk through some doors you didn't understand. You had to be stripped of certain comforts. You had to release attachments you thought you couldn't live without. But all of that was preparing you for this moment of divine clarity. And now, your spirit is finally still enough for my words to land. They are not just being spoken over you, they are being planted in you. What I'm revealing to you now will be the seed of your next season. That's why I had to wait for this exact second, because what I have to say will unlock things you didn't even know were trapped inside you. The version of you that's listening to me now is different from who you were even a month ago. There's a new softness in your heart, a new depth to your trust, a new willingness to receive without resistance. That's why this message is arriving with such power, because you're finally open to me, not just in desperation, but in surrender. And when surrender touches my presence, miracles begin. I didn't choose this moment for my sake, I chose it for yours. I wanted this to come when it could actually take root, when you would believe it, when you wouldn't try to dismiss it like before. I know how many times you doubted yourself. I know the way you second-guessed every nudge, every impression, every divine moment. But this one is different. This one will stay with you, because now you're ready to carry it not with fear, but with confidence that it came from me. This isn't about feeling emotional for a second, it's about being transformed forever. I'm opening your spiritual ears in ways that will shock you. I'm increasing your sensitivity so you will hear me in places you never expected. And the reason I waited until now is because I love you too much to give you something holy before you had the capacity to hold it. You don't need to try harder. You don't need to be perfect. You just needed to be willing, and you are. That's why the heavens are leaning low and my voice is piercing through every noise to reach you. This is me choosing you again. This is me saying, you're ready. Let's begin. So open your heart even more, because I'm just getting started. What I've been trying to show you will no longer be delayed. What I've been preparing for you will begin to manifest. What I've hidden for the right time is now coming into the light. And you, my child, are standing at the doorway of divine revelation because you were finally still enough to hear what I've been holding for you all along. What felt like abandonment was actually arrangement. The weight you resented, the pause you questioned, the delay that kept you in suspense was never a rejection, it was construction. You assumed I was distant, withholding, or unmoved. But I was nearer than you knew, crafting each layer of what would hold the blessing I refused to rush. Because I love you too much to deliver something before it's ready or before you are. There were roots I had to deepen in you before the fruit could safely grow. You were asking for elevation, but I was reinforcing your foundation. You didn't see the invisible architecture being built beneath the surface of your life, but I was laying every beam with purpose. You thought I wasn't answering, but I was already responding, just not in the way you expected. I needed to delay not because I wanted you to suffer, but because I was shielding you from arriving at the right destination with the wrong preparation. I've seen too many of my children collapse under what they prayed for because they received it too soon. But I did not let that happen to you. Your character had to expand before I enlarged your platform. Your discernment had to sharpen before I opened new doors. Your strength had to mature before I released the weight of what's next. That's what the delay was doing. It was fortifying you in secret, molding you when no one was watching, stretching your capacity without fanfare or applause. And yes, I know it felt painful. I know it was lonely. I know your mind couldn't make sense of the silence. But silence doesn't mean absence, it often means strategy. I wasn't punishing you, I was positioning you. Think of it like a seed buried in soil. It may seem still from the outside, but under the layers something is shifting, cells are multiplying, roots are pushing, life is forming. It was the same with you. I was preparing not just the blessing, but also the atmosphere to sustain it. The relationships, the resources, the timing, the clarity, all of it had to align. And now, it is. What you thought was wasted time was actually wisdom in disguise. I was protecting you from being exposed to things prematurely. I was holding back just long enough so that when I do release it, it won't slip through your hands. The pain of waiting was shaping your readiness. The tears you cried watered the very ground where the promise will grow. And now, hear me now. The season is shifting. Now, the silence is breaking. Now, the momentum is gathering. And it's not happening because you pushed harder or performed better. It's happening because the timing I ordained is finally here. You'll see why the doors didn't open before. You'll understand why I let some connections fade. You'll recognize that the absence of progress was actually the presence of purpose in disguise. I'm not late. I never have been. You were just early in your understanding. But now I'm bringing revelation to what confused you. I'm redeeming the wait. I'm showing you that every second was used, not lost. You didn't miss your moment. You were being prepared to meet it at full strength. And now that the ground beneath you has been strengthened, the structure can rise. Not shakily, not briefly, but with power, with endurance, and with favor that will not be reversed. So stop regretting the delay. Start revering it. Because it wasn't denial, it was divine architecture. And the moment you're stepping into now is stronger, deeper, and more beautiful because of what you couldn't see me doing when everything felt still. The time I was taking was the gift you didn't know you needed. And now, I'm giving back what seemed lost with interest only heaven can calculate. You've been stumbling through a fog that did seem to lift, trying to make sense of pieces that never seemed to fit together. I've watched you strain to understand, wrestle to discern, and search for clarity like someone groping through darkness. You've questioned everything from your path to your own decisions, from whether I was guiding you to whether you even heard me right in the first place. But here's what I need you to hear right now. The veil is being lifted. I am releasing clarity that won't just explain where you've been, it will illuminate where you are headed next. The confusion was never a sign of disobedience or failure. It was the birthing room of revelation. I allowed it because sometimes I have to close your natural vision so your spiritual eyes can open wider. You felt like you were wandering, but I was actually leading you into the unknown so I could teach you to trust what doesn't always make logical sense. I know you've cried out, asking why things haven't added up. I've heard the groaning of your soul asking for just one clear direction, one unmistakable answer. And I'm giving it to you now, not with noise, but with light. Because what I am releasing into your spirit is not more chaos, but peace. Not more questions, but insight. I am placing my hand upon your mind, and the storm that's been swirling inside you is about to be calmed. The haze that's covered your decisions is lifting. The heaviness that kept you second-guessing every move is being removed. You are about to feel me rerouting your thoughts, not with pressure, but with peace. Because I don't bring clarity through confusion, I bring it through presence. And my presence is now descending like dawn over the darkness. Things that made no sense for months or even years will begin to connect. Conversations you once dismissed will suddenly resurface with new meaning. Delays you thought were pointless will be revealed as purposeful pivots. I'm showing you how I was guiding even when you thought you were lost. And what I speak now will not fade like a passing feeling, it will anchor you with certainty. The questions that tormented your nights are about to bow before answers that carry my authority. And these answers won't just satisfy your intellect, they'll settle your soul. Because I am the light that reveals without confusing. I am the voice that clarifies without condemning. I am the hand that writes direction on the tablets of your heart. You are not about to make another aimless step. You are about to walk in certainty. Because what I release now is not suggestion, it is instruction, and it will be unmistakable. I will confirm it, repeat it, and echo it through different channels until you recognize it as truth that cannot be shaken. No more stumbling. No more random decisions based on survival. You will walk in purpose, not panic. You will move forward, not out of pressure, but with precision. You will not waste another moment questioning where I am, because my light is guiding every part of the way. This season marks a shift from confusion to comprehension, from blurry vision to divine direction, from paralyzing indecision to confident momentum. And not only will you see clearly, you will begin to lead others who are still in the dark. Because the light I'm placing in your hands isn't just for you, it's going to become a torch for others too. So breathe. The fog is lifting. The silence is ending. And the direction you've begged for is arriving, not late, but exactly when you were ready to receive it. I'm giving you the map now, and it begins with this truth. The confusion wasn't your destination, it was your setup for revelation. And now, that revelation begins. There's a reason you haven't felt settled. That internal stirring, that inability to relax into routines that used to comfort you, that sense that something was off, even when everything looked fine on the surface. It wasn't failure. It wasn't instability. It wasn't a sign that you were falling behind. It was me. I stirred the waters inside your soul, not to frustrate you, but to lead you out of what no longer fit the future I'm calling you into. You've tried to silence it. You've called it anxiety. You've tried to ignore it or distract yourself, hoping it would pass. But the tension you've been wrestling with isn't from the enemy, it's a holy alarm from my spirit. I was shaking you so you wouldn't settle for less than what I designed you to carry. I knew if I allowed you to become too comfortable, you'd stop growing. You'd stop reaching. You'd stay in environments that could no longer hold your anointing. So I applied pressure not to punish you, but to awaken you. Because I know what I've placed inside you. I know what's been buried under layers of familiarity, people-pleasing, survival thinking, and fear. And I wouldn't let you stay where your soul was shrinking. The restlessness wasn't you failing, it was me calling. You weren't breaking apart, you were breaking out. That irritation in your spirit was a signal. It meant I was inviting you into deeper alignment with my design for your life. You've outgrown certain atmospheres, and I didn't want you to become stagnant in places that no longer carry my presence for your next season. So I began to stir things up from the inside. You tried to keep the peace, tried to be strong, tried to maintain appearances, but nothing gave you peace because you weren't supposed to blend in anymore. You were supposed to transition. And transitions are messy. They don't always come with clean exits or perfect clarity. They come with a stirring that you can't explain, an aching that won't go away, a pull towards something you can't see yet but can feel down to your bones. That's what this has been. A holy discomfort. A sacred restlessness. Not to torment you, but to prepare you. I've been softening your grip on the old so you'll have free hands for the new. You're not confused, you're being shifted. You're not abandoned, you're being repositioned. I didn't let you stay where you were, because I'm making room for who you're becoming. I needed to reroute your thoughts, your relationships, your patterns. I needed you to question what you thought was permanent so I could introduce something eternal. And yes, I know you've been tired. I know you've wondered what's wrong with you, why you can't just settle and smile and go along with the flow like everyone else. But I made you different on purpose. I mark you with a calling that refuses to stay asleep. And the restlessness you've been feeling is the alarm clock of heaven waking you up. So don't curse it. Don't call it failure. Don't try to numb it. Honor it. Let it drive you to me. Let it guide you into prayer. Let it be the sign that you're not off course, you're right on the edge of transformation. You were never meant to stay where you were. You were meant to evolve, to shift, to elevate. This is the sound of stretching, the ache of growth, the shaking that happens right before everything realigns. You've been sensing it for a reason, because I've been speaking through it the entire time. And now I'm telling you plainly, your discomfort was never random. It was the whisper of destiny. And now I'm moving you from frustration into flow, from pressure into purpose, from restlessness into realignment. What's coming will make the discomfort make sense. So hold on. You're not failing, you're awakening. And the shift has already begun. You've been blaming yourself for doors that never opened, paths that never cleared, and opportunities that never reached your hands, but what you thought was rejection was actually my protection in motion. You begged for certain things to work, certain people to stay, certain outcome to fall into place, and when they didn't, you felt overlooked, unwanted, maybe even cursed. But I need you to see what I've been doing from a higher view. I was never closing doors to hurt you. I was sealing them shut because I saw what you couldn't see. I saw the motives that would have wounded you, the agreements that would have bound you, the distractions that would have delayed you, and the attachments that would have silenced your purpose. I saw the cost you couldn't calculate. And because I love you too much to deliver you into something that would unravel you, I shut what you kept praying to walk through. You wept over those denials, but I was weeping with you, not because I was ignoring your prayers, but because I knew you were asking for something that would only leave you emptier. I know the timeline you thought made sense. I know how hard you worked, how long you waited, how much you gave. But I also know what's waiting for you when you let go of what's not yours to carry. There are some places that feel like destiny from your angle but look like danger from mine. And that's why I stepped in. That's why the answer did come when you begged. That's why the phone never rang. That's why the meeting didn't go through. Because I intercepted what would have poisoned the promise. I turned the lock on doors that looked golden but were hollow. And though it hurt, it was holy. You thought you were being passed over, but really, you were being preserved. The no's you resented were walls I built to shield you from agreements that would have slowed you down. The silence you mistook for absence was me drawing boundaries around your destiny. I let others go ahead of you not because they were better, but because they were going somewhere you weren't called to follow. I didn't allow certain doors to open because they would have led you into battles you were never meant to fight. I kept you from signing contracts that looked like blessings but would have enslaved your time, your energy, your vision. You see one side of the door, I see what's behind it. And when I say no, it's not the end. It's an invitation to step back and trust that I'm building something more permanent, more sacred, more aligned with your identity. I don't do temporary. I do eternal. I don't build quickly. I build wisely. And that's why I had to shut what you tried so hard to pry open. I didn't say no because you were unworthy, I said no because you are too important to settle. So now, breathe. Let the disappointment dissolve in my presence. I am healing you from the grief of missed opportunities and showing you they were never yours to mourn in the first place. You haven't lost anything that belonged to you. You haven't missed any door that I meant for you to walk through. What's yours can't be taken, and what wasn't for you will never satisfy you, no matter how much you think you need it. I want you to release the resentment, the confusion, the inner questions, because I'm doing something far better. I'm preparing doors that no man can shut. Doors that won't collapse when you enter. Doors that will bless you without breaking you. Doors that carry peace, not pressure. And when I open them, you won't have to strive, they'll swing wide at my word. Until then, let my closed doors comfort you. They were never punishment. They were protection laced with purpose. And soon, you'll see the doors that stayed closed were the greatest blessings I ever gave. You've cried over the same place more than once. You've walked through cycles that made your hope feel foolish, watching doors you believed in shut just when you thought you were close. Each time, your heart dropped lower, and your faith felt a little heavier. You've replayed conversations, tried to fix what crumbled, and questioned where you went wrong. But child, I need you to pause right here and listen closely. Those disappointments weren't punishments. They were routes, orchestrated with divine intention. You assumed my hand was withholding, but in truth, it was redirecting. I saw you pouring your heart into things that looked promising, yet they were built on shifting ground. I allowed the breakdown not to break you, but to realign you. You were pursuing something that would have only sustained a fraction of your purpose. And every time it collapsed, you thought I was saying you're not enough. But what I was really saying was, this is not it. I am not cruel. I do not dangle dreams in front of you only to pull them away. But I am committed to your destiny, and that means sometimes I must close off good things to make way for greater ones. I know what you couldn't know. I saw the future you were walking into, and I couldn't allow you to keep building in a direction that would not hold up when the storms came. The repeated setbacks you faced weren't because I was ignoring you, they were evidence that I was fighting for the version of your life that reflects my perfect design. I allowed patterns to break down because I didn't want you repeating history, I wanted you writing something new. You weren't being overlooked. You were being redirected, again and again, until you were finally positioned for the right alignment. You couldn't see it at the time, but each disappointment was an act of divine rescue. I pulled you back before you fell too far into things that would have dimmed your light. I closed deals that weren't covered in peace. I disrupted arrangements that lacked my blessing. And though it bruised your expectations, it preserved your future. I didn't punish you, I protected you through process. You see, some of your dreams were too small for the scale of my purpose in you. Some of the people you wanted to build with were not equipped to walk beside you for the long road ahead. Some of the paths you tried to take would have led you into delay, heartbreak, and regret. And so I allowed the pressure. I allowed the interruption. I allowed the pain not because I wanted to see you hurt, but because I needed to protect what you didn't know needed guarding. I never wasted your hope. I redefined it. And now, I'm calling you to lift your head from the ashes of what didn't last and see what's taking shape in its place. This time, I'm not leading you toward what looks good, I'm guiding you into what is good. No more illusions. No more temporary comfort dressed as destiny. What I'm unveiling will not require you to beg, bend, or break to keep it. What's coming is rooted in me, and it won't collapse under pressure. You've cried enough over what wasn't meant to hold your future. Now I want you to rejoice not because the loss didn't hurt, but because you've survived it long enough to see it wasn't the end. I've cleared the path for something that won't leave you guessing. I've made space for what will nourish you, challenge you, grow you, and bless you. So don't resent the pattern of disappointment anymore. Don't interpret delay as distance from me. You've been walking through divine detours that were leading you away from settling. And now, you're almost there. The path is changing. The scene is shifting. And the pain that once echoed in your chest is making room for a joy that will not be shaken. I'm redirecting you, not just geographically or relationally, but spiritually. I'm realigning your heart to beat in rhythm with mine. And this time, it will last. This time, it will be worth it. Watch what I do next. You've been walking through life carrying the quiet ache of feeling invisible, unnoticed by people, overlooked in rooms where you gave your best, tasked by when all you needed was to be seen for who you really are. And I've watched how you internalized that silence, how you began to question whether your presence mattered, whether I still remembered your name among billions, whether I still had a purpose carved out specifically for you. Let me answer you with finality. You are not forgotten. You have never been a background character in my story. You are not a random face in the crowd. You are my beloved, chosen long before time ever touched your frame. I formed you with detail. I wove you with care. I placed within you a combination of gifts, strength, sensitivity, and calling that no one else can duplicate. And when you see this message, right now, in this moment, I want you to know it's not by accident. It's not a scroll you stumbled upon. This is me, marking you again as mine. This is heaven's reminder that I haven't stopped writing your story. I'm just turning the page. When others failed to recognize the depth in you, I was still investing in the depths no one else saw. When doors remained closed and names were called but yours wasn't among them, I was preparing a season where your name would be spoken by me, not man. You've been waiting for a sign that you're still on my mind. This is it. You've been asking if I've passed you over. This is your confirmation that I haven't even taken my eyes off you. I know how deeply you've craved acknowledgement. Not for applause, not for ego, but just for reassurance that your life still carries divine meaning. And I'm here to tell you that you've been handpicked for something that goes far beyond momentary recognition. I've chosen you for impact that ripples into eternity. And while the world may have delayed its response to your value, I've been moving in ways you couldn't yet perceive. I've been planting you in the right places, pruning what no longer serves you, and purifying your motives so that when I reveal you fully, you will be able to carry the weight of the influence I'm entrusting to you. You haven't been abandoned, you've been appointed. And now, you're about to walk into the season where the things I placed inside you will begin to flourish openly. The seeds of obedience you sowed in obscurity are about to bloom in full view. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth, I've already sealed it in heaven. You don't need to force your way into recognition. What I've ordained will find you, even in the most unlikely places. Your name is known in the courts of heaven. Your prayers are recorded in my heart. Your tears have not gone unnoticed. And while others may have missed your significance, I never did. You were handpicked, not for comfort, but for calling. Not for popularity, but for purpose. And that purpose is beginning to break through the soil of your life like a sprout after a long winter. You may not see the full picture yet, but I do, and it's beautiful. This message is not just a comfort. It's an announcement. It's a signal that what I started in you will not remain hidden. I am drawing you out of the shadows. I am placing light on the gifts you thought no one would ever value. And I'm doing it because I chose you. Long before you proved anything, long before you accomplished anything. You were never a second thought. You were always a centerpiece in my plan. And today, I'm reminding you not only that you are remembered, but that you've been reserved for something sacred. Stay ready. Stay open. Because the season of divine unveiling is here, and it begins with the truth you're hearing now. You are not forgotten. You are handpicked. And you are just beginning to see why. What you don't see right now is what I'm doing behind the curtain of your current reality. You're looking at the surface. What hasn't moved yet. What hasn't changed. What still feels stuck. But I want you to open your eyes in the spirit, because things are not as they appear. I'm working where you cannot reach. I'm influencing minds you haven't spoken to. I'm softening hearts that were once closed. I'm realigning relationships, reworking systems, and reordering the sequence of what once looked unchangeable. You've been asking me to make something happen, and I am, not just around you, but through you. The shift has already begun, though you haven't yet seen the full unfolding. Conversations are taking place where your name is being mentioned with honor. Decisions are being made that will open space for you. People who resisted your calling are being touched by my spirit and are thinking how they saw you. Circumstances that felt frozen are thawing under my breath. You may not hear the sound of change, but the earth beneath your promise is trembling with movement. I have gone ahead of you, even into places you thought were permanently closed off. There are doors you stopped praying for because the wait was so long, but I never stopped unlocking them. There are people you gave up on because their hearts felt hardened, but I never stopped pursuing them. The hardened ground is softening. The tide is turning. And what you thought would take years is accelerating in this very hour. You won't have to manipulate, control, or strive. I am orchestrating a divine reversal, a supernatural alignment that no human effort could accomplish. I'm not just fixing broken pieces. I'm replacing entire structures. The job you didn't qualify for is becoming available. The apology you thought you'd never receive is already on someone's lips. The opportunity that slipped away is circling back with greater favor attached. Even the delays that frustrated you are now becoming holy intersections where my favor will collide with your faith. You may feel like you're in the waiting room, but you're actually in the setup. Every no that once stung is now turning into a yes wrapped in peace. The hearts of those who once opposed you are being softened not by persuasion, but by presence, my presence. You don't need to perform to win favor. My spirit is influencing atmospheres on your behalf. The shift is not a possibility, it's a reality. And it's happening now. I'm aligning timing with readiness, opportunity with preparation, and destiny with design. The walls you thought were immovable are being shaken at their foundation. The mountains you thought would take years to climb are being leveled by a single word from my mouth. You've been sowing in tears, now prepare to reap with joy. You've been holding on in silence, now prepare to move in power. I have not forgotten your cries. I have not ignored your obedience. I have not overlooked your sacrifice. Everything you planted in secret, I am watering. Everything you released in trust, I am returning multiplied. Don't allow what your eyes see to deceive your heart. I am moving in realms unseen, and the signs will follow. Expect divine meetings. Expect sudden breakthroughs. Expect reversals so precise they could only come from heaven. I have turned my face toward you. I have bent my ear to your voice. And I am releasing a fresh wind over your life, a wind that will carry what your strength could never move. So do not be discouraged by what hasn't shifted yet. The tipping point is close. The breaking of the day is near. You will see doors open without knocking. You will witness hearts change without your intervention. Because I, the Lord your God, am moving now. And this shift isn't temporary, it's transformational. Watch it. Trust. Believe. Because even as you read this, I am turning things in your favor, and nothing will stop what I have already started. The stillness you endured wasn't empty, it was saturated with my presence, even if you couldn't feel it. I didn't withdraw to abandon you. I stepped back so that when I move again, you would recognize the sound of my voice without confusion. You were desperate for direction, pleading for answers, waiting for signs to arrive faster than the pain they were meant to heal. But I was waiting for your heart to quiet down, for the noise of your surroundings to fade, for the storm within you to settle just enough so my whisper wouldn't be mistaken for something else. I wasn't ignoring you, child. I was teaching you how to discern. I was training your spirit to listen deeper than ever before, not to emotion, not to anxiety, not to the opinions around you, but to me alone. You were being conditioned in the silence, refined in the absence of visible guidance, so that when I finally spoke, you wouldn't run to anyone else to confirm it. You would know it was me. You would remember that you learned to hear my voice not on the mountaintop, but in the valley where every other sound had faded. That silence you feared, the one that made you question everything, was actually a sacred classroom. I was not absent, I was intensely focused. I had your full attention. And now, because of what you went through in the quiet, you will never again doubt when I speak clearly. You will recognize my prompting, my warnings, my encouragements, and my direction, not because someone told you what I said, but because you've learned what my voice feels like inside your bones. You've learned that my silence isn't cold, it's calculated. That when I pause, it's not because I'm lost for words, but because I'm allowing space for transformation. You needed that space. You needed the silence to become sensitive. You needed the stillness to distinguish me from everything else. Because in the next chapter of your life, you won't have time to stop and ask for confirmation from a crowd. You'll need to move at the sound of my word alone. And so I allowed a season where I said less so that your hunger for me would grow more. I allowed the quiet so your roots would reach deeper. I allowed you to sit with unanswered questions so that you'd trust the one who holds answers more than the answers themselves. The silence was never about punishment. It was about preparation. I was creating an internal confidence in you, a spiritual tuning that the world cannot undo. Others might have looked at your life and thought nothing was happening, but I was downloading instruction, revealing motives, exposing lies, and aligning your heart to mine. You thought I wasn't working, but I was working on levels so deep you couldn't detect them until now. And now, you're beginning to feel it shift. You're beginning to sense a stirring that's different from anything you felt before. You're not just hearing me with your ears, you're perceiving me with your spirit. That's what the silence did. It activated a new awareness in you. And now, when I speak, you won't brush it off. You won't confuse it with wishful thinking. You'll know it's me. You'll know because you sat long enough in the silence to recognize what is sacred. And from this point forward, everything I speak will echo in that still place you learned to cherish. You will walk with a new level of clarity. You will act with assurance that you didn't have before. And you will carry peace not because everything is obvious, but because you are anchored in the certainty of who I am. The silence is over, my child. My voice is here. And now, you won't just hear me, you will follow me, boldly, completely, without second guessing. That's what the silence made possible. And it was worth it. The moment you are standing in right now is not ordinary. This is a divine pivot point, an invisible but irreversible shift that has been marked on the calendar of heaven long before you knew how close you were. For so long, it felt like everything was dragging, like you were stuck behind a wall of unanswered prayers and unmet expectations. But what was once held up is now being propelled forward by my hand. Where there was stagnation, you will now see swift movement. Where there was waiting, you will now feel release. I have declared this as a holy moment of momentum, and nothing can stop what I have decreed over your life. You have walked faithfully, even when progress felt like a myth. You have kept showing up when everything around you screamed that it was pointless. But I was taking note not just of your prayers, but of your perseverance. Not just of your cries, but of your consistency. You were moving in obedience when there was no applause. And now I am rewarding your endurance with divine acceleration. What should have taken years will begin to happen in weeks. What others had to fight for will begin to land in your lap, not because you earned it, but because you trusted me through the season that tried to break you. The trust was the seed of speed. I do not forget the ones who kept believing when it was hard. I do not overlook the hearts that stayed tender in the face of disappointment. The sign you're reading right now, it's not just inspiration. It's a signal to your spirit that a new rhythm is being released over your life. A wicked one. A clear one. A flow that's no longer hindered by the spiritual resistance that once surrounded you. I've cleared the air. I've silenced the voices that tried to delay your destiny. I've removed the invisible weight that made every step feel 10 times heavier than it should have. You're about to feel lightness where there used to be pressure. You're about to make progress without panic. I'm removing the obstacles that were placed in your path, some by the enemy, and some by your own fear. Even the fear that lingered silently in the corners of your heart, I'm dismantling it right now. You won't need to push doors open anymore. They will swing wide at my word. You won't need to chase what's meant for you. What's yours will be drawn to you by my favor. This acceleration is not chaotic. It's coordinated. It's not rushed, it's right on time. I'm not skipping steps, I'm eliminating delays that were never part of my plan. The time lost is being redeemed. The strength drained is being restored. You are not behind. You are positioned perfectly for what I'm releasing next. And it starts now. It starts with this confirmation. You've waited long enough. You wondered long enough. You survived long enough. Now comes the movement. Now comes the moment when what was once later becomes now. I'm aligning people, opportunities, answers, and provision in a way that no strategy could have accomplished. You're going to look back and be stunned by how quickly things turned once I gave the command. And this is that command. Go forward. No more waiting on what I've already spoken. No more rehearsing old pain when I'm giving you a new path. No more shrinking back when I've prepared the stage. I am with you. I am in this. I am the one accelerating everything. And no man, no mistake, no delay, no demon has the authority to slow what I have already set in motion. This is the sign you've been praying for. This is the moment things turn. And from this point forward, you're not crawling anymore, you're running with me. What's next will come faster than what came before, and it will feel like home, not like hardship. The time is now. You've asked me quietly in moments of exhaustion, God, is this you? Is this still your plan? Did I make a wrong turn? Should I keep going? And I watched the hope in your heart flicker like a candle in the wind, holding on through long seasons where signs were scarce and answers were slow. But today, right now, I am making something undeniable to your spirit. This is your confirmation. Not the kind that fades with emotion. Not the kind that depends on external validation. But a divine stamp, pressed into your inner being with the weight of my spirit. You've been longing for me to tell you that you're still on the right path, that you haven't missed your moment, that your prayers are not just words drifting into silence. And so I am saying it plainly now. Yes, this is me. Yes, you're still chosen. Yes, you are exactly where I need you to be for what's about to unfold. I didn't bring you this far to abandon the vision. I didn't let you walk through all that fire just to leave you smoldering in the ashes. I preserved your promise while I prepared your heart, and now I'm bringing both together in divine harmony. The nudge you feel deep inside, the stirring you can't explain, that's me. I'm confirming what your faith already dared to believe. You don't need a sign in the sky. You don't need another person's agreement. You don't need the crowd to cheer before you step forward. I have already etched the truth into the fabric of your spirit. You know it because I placed it there. And I'm awakening that knowing again, not as a new idea, but as a returning certainty that nothing can uproot. Even when doubt tried to drown you, even when discouragement clouded your mind, even when others questioned your path, something inside of you stayed anchored. That something was me. I was the still voice underneath the noise. I was the peace beneath the chaos. I was a resilience you didn't even understand. The quiet strength that refused to let you quit. And now, I am confirming everything you've been sensing but were too afraid to say out loud. This is not your imagination. This is not random hope. This is divine alignment. You're not chasing shadows. You're walking in purpose. And I am amplifying what I've spoken so clearly to your soul. You've been hesitant to trust your discernment because of past wounds. You've second-guessed what I said because the process felt too long. But the delay did not void my promise. The silence did not cancel my word. I have been speaking all along. Now I am sealing it in you so there's no room left for fear. No more asking for permission to believe me. No more waiting for someone else to see what I've already revealed to you. I called you. I spoke it to you. I confirmed it inside of you. And this is the moment that it all begins to make sense. Don't treat this like another passing message. This is sacred. This is personal. I designed this moment to meet you, to remind you, to reignite you. You've wondered if you were crazy for holding on to something so long unseen. Let me assure you, you are not crazy. You are courageous. You are not delusional. You are devoted. And I honor that faith. I respond to that kind of trust. That's why I'm making this confirmation unmistakable. It's not a whisper anymore. It's a declaration from my spirit to yours. This is your time. This is your word. This is your confirmation. Walk forward with peace now, not just because it feels right, but because I've said it is. And when I speak, nothing and no one can unwrite what I've already written in eternity. Here's a reason you haven't been able to shake this feeling. It's not random, not fleeting emotion, not something you can explain away. The tug deep inside you, the one that won't let you rest, the one that rises in moments of quiet, the one that keeps coming back no matter how much you try to distract yourself. It's me. That stirring isn't confusion. It's my call. I don't always speak in thunder or part the skies to get your attention. Sometimes I move subtly, through the unease that makes you rethink your current direction, or through the sudden hope that catches you off guard. You've dismissed that stirring as doubt. You've called it restlessness. But I'm telling you now, it's the echo of my spirit trying to awaken something inside you. I've placed that tension there not to torment you, but to prepare you. It's a divine alert, a signal, a holy disruption. I don't let my children stay comfortable in places that no longer carry their purpose. I nudge. I unsettle. I stir. Because what I'm calling you into requires more than passivity, it demands awareness. That feeling you can't ignore is your soul responding to my movement. You feel it when you're around certain people. You feel it when you try to go back to old routines that no longer fulfill you. You feel it when you consider doing things just to survive when I've called you to thrive. That stirring is a spiritual indicator that you've outgrown where you are, and I'm trying to shift you into a higher place. Don't silence it. Don't suppress it. Don't mistake it for fear. This is me waking you up before the moment arrives so you'll be ready. I am preparing you for something greater, something that will fit the mold of what you've known before. I've placed an assignment in you, and I've timed its release to begin now. That stirring is how I'm waking the assignment up. You've asked me to speak, and I am. Just not always with words. Sometimes I speak in urgency. Sometimes I speak through discomfort. Sometimes I speak through persistent longing you don't understand. That is what this is. You're not being overly sensitive. You're being spiritually aware. You're picking up on what heaven is broadcasting. And it's not just for your benefit, it's for the people you're called to reach, the places you're called to touch, the impact that only your obedience can unlock. There's more in you. That's why you can't settle. That's why certain doors closing feel right, even though they hurt. That's why some things that used to satisfy now leave you feeling hollow. It's because your spirit is getting in sync with what I'm releasing. You're growing, and the stirrings are proof of it. I want you to lean in, not run away. Pay attention to the places where you feel most alive. Pay attention to the ideas that keep returning. Pay attention to the assignments that scare you but won't leave you alone. That's how I lead, by igniting something internal before I open the way external. I don't want your life to be guided by logic alone. I want it to be guided by my spirit. And my spirit is speaking through the tension, belonging, the repeated nudges you keep experiencing. Don't wait for a louder voice. I've already started speaking. What you feel is sacred. The pull you sense is not madness, it's mission. The ache you feel when you consider living small, it's me reminding you that you were made for more. The restlessness is not rebellion, it's revelation. And if you'll lean in now, I'll begin to show you where to go. You won't need all the answers today. Just don't ignore the stirring. Let it lead you. Let it pull you deeper. Because I'm speaking through it. And what's coming will make it all make sense. While you sit here wondering if you're just reading another set of words, heaven is already in motion. You've asked me to speak, and I have. But I'm not the kind of God who merely gives instruction and walks away. I am both the voice and the power behind the voice. As this message reaches your heart, I am simultaneously arranging the next steps of your journey. You may not feel the shift yet, but trust me, it's happening. My spirit doesn't wait until you feel ready. I move when you surrender, and your surrender has already begun. Even now, as you lean into this moment, I'm leaning into your life. I'm orchestrating conversations, softening hardened hearts, turning unfavorable outcomes in your favor, and touching every detail you silently handed to me. You think you're waiting on something to happen, but I've already begun. I've already touched the situation you're afraid of. I've already entered the place you thought was inaccessible. I've already started pouring oil on the wounds you thought would never close. I'm not waiting for some distant time to begin. My action is not limited to your awareness of it. I'm moving in real time. I am aligning events, influencing decisions, and preparing divine encounters that will unfold just as you need them, precisely when you need them. I know your heart is still healing, still hoping, still hesitant, but I don't need your perfection to move. I need your permission. And the moment you said yes in your spirit, even when fear was still whispering, I stepped in. You're going to start seeing evidence soon. Subtle at first, a conversation that surprises you, a moment of clarity you weren't expecting, a door that opens without your effort. But don't mistake subtle for small. These are the early signs of something much larger in motion. What you've been praying for behind closed doors is now being answered behind the scenes. The right people are being stirred. The opportunities you thought were lost are circling back in renewed form. What once stood still is starting to move under the weight of my command. You don't need to make it happen, just stay positioned. You've wondered if you should do more, try harder, push further, but I'm telling you, your obedience has already activated the next phase. You sowed in faith. You stood when it was painful. You remained when it was tempting to walk away. And now, I'm responding not only with words but with action. What I'm doing now is not limited by what you see. It's rooted in what I've spoken, and when I speak, creation responds. Mountains move. Chains break. Barriers fall. Atmospheres shift. So don't underestimate what's happening just because it's invisible. I am the God of the unseen as much as the seen. I am the God of process as much as outcome. And I'm reminding you this moment is sacred, not just because you're receiving this word, but because while you receive, I'm releasing. I'm sending angels on assignment. I'm releasing provision. I'm establishing timing. I'm neutralizing every force that dared to rise against what I've promised you. You are not alone in this. You are not stuck. You are not forgotten. You are surrounded, covered, and backed by my word in my hand. My movement is not restrained by your history. It's accelerated by your hunger. And you've hungered for me even in confusion. That's why I'm not delaying. That's why I'm not passive. That's why I'm moving right now. Not later. Not tomorrow. Now, as you sit with this message, know that the kingdom is advancing on your behalf. And every moment from this point forward will begin to reveal what I've been doing while you waited. So take courage. Breathe deeper. A step greater. I'm not only speaking, I'm acting. And you, my child, are about to witness what divine movement truly looks like. You've heard voices say it can't be done. They labeled your dream too big, your past too broken, your resources too small, and your qualifications too weak. You've been surrounded by opinions that placed limits on what I never restricted. People spoke from their own fears and called it wisdom. They measured your future by your past. They projected their own doubt onto your vision. And somewhere along the way, a part of you started to believe them. You started to question if maybe they were right, if maybe what I whispered to you in the quiet was unrealistic, unreachable, unimaginable. But I need you to hear me louder than every voice that ever doubted you. I already finished what they said would never happen. The outcome isn't pending, it's secured. What I declare doesn't return empty. What I taught doesn't remain sub. What I promise doesn't stay in waiting forever. I don't make suggestions, I make decrees. And when I call something done, it stands, whether others recognize it or not. I saw the end before you took your first step. I mapped the victory before you knew there was even a battle. I authored your story with finality while others were still forming their opinions. They may have seen limitation, but I saw fulfillment. They saw obstacles, I saw the exact moment I would break them. They said impossible, and I wrote complete over it in heaven's ink. The truth is, their words have no power to reverse mine. Their disbelief cannot cancel my design. What I have spoken over your life was never dependent on their permission. I don't need a consensus to complete my will. I work through faith, not approval. And while others were counting you out, I was counting down to your appointed moment. That moment is here. You will soon step into what they never thought you'd reach. You'll see doors open that others tried to keep shut. You'll watch promises unfold in real time, not because of striving, but because of surrender. You surrendered your timeline. You surrendered your expectations. You surrendered the need to be understood. And now, I'm rewarding that surrender with manifestation. You won't have to explain how it happened. You won't need to defend it. The results will speak. The fruit will answer every question. The breakthrough will silence every critic. I will vindicate you with evidence, not arguments. I am about to place you in rooms that your resume didn't qualify for, but your obedience did. I'm about to bring restoration to areas that were declared barren. The promises I gave you in the secret place are about to stand tall in public view. The very things they said would never happen for someone like you, those are the exact areas I've chosen to showcase my glory. Not to elevate your ego, but to lift the name of the one who always had the final say. Your miracle isn't on trial, it's on the way. And when it arrives, remember this: it wasn't them who made it possible. It wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was me. It was my word, my timing, my power, and my purpose. So don't internalize their doubts. Don't carry their fear. Don't rehearse their limitations as if they are your truth. I define what's possible. I determine what's achievable. And I've already called it done. All I ask of you is to believe again, to stand on the edge of the unknown, and trust that my voice is more accurate than their conclusions. To walk in boldness, not arrogance, knowing that what is about to unfold isn't based on your strength but on my faithfulness. So when you see it come to pass, and you will remember, I already spoke accomplished over what they labeled impossible. And my word never fails. You've been taught to hide the parts of yourself that feel fragile. You've tried to cover the cracks, silence the tremble in your voice, press through the weariness, and pretend you're stronger than you feel. But I've seen what's beneath it all: the fear that your flaws will disqualify you, that your shortcomings make you unusable, that your internal battles somehow put you outside the reach of purpose. Let me speak directly to that lie. It's not your strength that unlocks my promise. It's your surrender. It's the place where you admit, I can't do this on my own. That my spirit steps in and shows what divine empowerment truly looks like. I never asked you to be perfect. I never required you to carry the entire weight of destiny on your back. That pressure didn't come from me. It came from pride, fear, and the false belief that your worth depends on your performance. But I, the Lord your God, work through yielded hearts, not flawless lives. I'm not threatened by your exhaustion. I'm not ashamed of your internal battles. I'm not pulling away from your wounds. I'm leaning closer to heal them. What you call weakness, I call access. What you try to push down, I want to lift up and redeem. I'm not asking for polished confidence, I'm asking for honest dependence. My strength is not a supplement for your ability. It's a replacement for your limits. Where you feel most insufficient, I pour out sufficiency. Where you're depleted, I restore. Where you've come to the end of yourself, I begin. I'm not intimidated by the parts of you that feel undone. I already knew the weight you'd carry before you were formed. I knew the battles you'd fight behind closed doors. I knew the pressure that would come with the calling I gave you. And I still chose you. I didn't pick you because you had it all together. I picked you because your life would make it clear where the power truly comes from. You're not meant to fake strength. You're meant to rely on mine. And right now, in this very moment, I'm offering you something greater than self-reliance. I'm offering rest in the truth that I've already accounted for your frailty. I don't write people out of their purpose when they falter. I draw them deeper into grace. That's what you're being invited into. Not more striving, but more trust. Not harder effort, but deeper reliance. Let go of the lie that says you have to be more than human to be used by heaven. I do my best work through vessels that are cracked, because that's how my light shines through. My glory is magnified through the ones who admit they need me. Your humility is the foundation of your anointing. Your brokenness doesn't repel me. It draws me in. I'm not looking for your poly, I'm looking for your posture. A posture of surrender. A heart that says, God, I'm tired, but I'm still here. That's the kind of heart I move through. That's the kind of life I empower. So stop disqualifying yourself for what I've already declared over you. Stop calling yourself unworthy when I've called you mine. Stop believing that your moments of struggle cancel your assignment. They don't. I'm with you in those moments, and I'm redeeming them all. What others call weakness, I use as a stage for my strength. What the enemy tries to shame you with, I will turn into a testimony. This is not the end of your usefulness. It's the beginning of a new depth in our relationship. And from that depth, I will pour out power that surprises even you. So come to me tired. Come to me unsure. Come to me as you are. And I will show you that my grace doesn't just cover, it empowers. My strength isn't distant, it's alive in you. And through you, I will do more than you thought possible, not in spite of your weakness, but because of it. You've been interpreting the pressure around you as opposition, the tension as warfare, the chaos as spiritual assault, but I need you to pause and see it differently now. You're not being torn down by the enemy, you're being built up by me. What you've called attacks are actually alignments in disguise. The shaking in your world is not the collapse of your calling, it's the reshaping of your foundation. I'm not allowing these moments to break you. I'm allowing them to reveal what needs reinforcement. You see a storm, but I see scaffolding. I'm not trying to stop you, I'm strengthening you. You've outgrown your last season, and that's why it feels like things no longer fit. The areas of discomfort are where I'm adding support beams, deepening your capacity, and recalibrating your inner structure so that when the next level arrives, it doesn't crush you under its weight. What looks like delay is actually divine design. I am building something in you that can carry more than you've ever handled. And just like any construction site, there will be dust. There will be noise, there will be pieces temporarily out of place. But don't let the mess fool you, this is holy work. You're not in danger, you're in development. The enemy wants you to misinterpret the season so you walk away from what I'm doing mid-process. He wants you to see hardship and assume abandonment. But I have never stepped away from the blueprint of your life. I'm hands-on in this moment, placing things with purpose, tearing down what was temporary to make room for what will last. I'm exposing hidden fractures not to shame you but to heal you. I'm removing weak support so that what I place in you will endure fire and pressure. This isn't the end, this is the middle. And I know how painful the middle can feel. It's where things look undone, where plans seem uncertain, where comfort disappears and questions increase. But trust me, I am the master builder. I know how to create beauty out of rubble. I see what this will look like when it's finished. You don't have to. You just have to stay surrendered while I work. You may feel isolated, but that's because construction zones aren't meant for crowds. This is a private work, a sacred reconfiguration of your character, your thinking, your habits, and your identity. I'm not just preparing your surroundings, I'm preparing you. Because what's coming next will require a stronger version of you. Not a tougher mask, but a deeper soul. Not a louder voice, but a clearer sense of who you are in me. And that's what I'm building. I'm forming in you the kind of resilience that doesn't crumble under criticism, the kind of peace that doesn't get shaken by storms, the kind of vision that doesn't lose focus when distractions increase. Every uncomfortable moment is serving a purpose. Every time you said, "God, why this again?" I've answered silently, "Because I'm fortifying you." Every closed door was me rerouting your attention inward so you would stop focusing on outcomes and start letting me refine what truly matters. And though it feels like construction now, there will come a day when you'll look back and see a masterpiece where you once saw only broken beams. My hands are all over your life, placing what belongs, removing what doesn't, strengthening what's essential. You are not being attacked. You are being transformed. This is not spiritual warfare, it's spiritual welding. I am fusing purpose to your process, power to your weakness, and vision to your pain. Soon, the scaffolding will come down. Soon, others will see what I've been shaping in silence. But for now, trust the process. Trust the dust. Trust the shaking. Because I never build without intention. And when I finish what I've started in you, it will not only hold, but it will carry others too. I know it felt like everything was falling apart. I saw the cracks forming in what you thought was unshakable. I watched the things you relied on start to crumble, the relationships unravel, the plans collapse, and the confidence you once had begin to disappear like dust in your hands. But I want you to understand something deeper now, that breaking wasn't to destroy you, it was to make room for something far greater than what you were holding on to. There are blessings I've prepared for you that couldn't fit into the life you built before the breaking. You asked me for more, but you didn't realize more would require space. So I began removing what was never meant to last. I began pruning what couldn't carry the weight of your next season. You were implemented with preparation. I didn't break what mattered. I broke what was blocking. I didn't shatter your purpose. I shattered the attachments that were limiting its reach. Yes, you heard. Yes, it was confusing. But now that you're standing on the other side of the worst of it, can you feel the soil of your heart softening? Can you sense something new beginning to emerge? What looked like devastation was actually divine excavation. I had to uproot what was toxic beneath the surface. I had to clear out the debris of fear, doubt, pride, and false identity. Not because you were failing, but because you were about to grow. And true growth doesn't happen on cluttered ground. You cried out for increase, but increase requires pruning. You longed for my best, but my best can't sit on a foundation built from fear or convenience. So I began to dig deep. I let things fall apart that you thought would last forever. Not to hurt you, but to heal what was underneath. You thought I was being silent, but I was being surgical. I was removing the unnecessary to make room for what's unstoppable. I've been expanding your capacity by stripping away what dulled your discernment and distorted your vision. You couldn't see it then, but the breaking was the opening. And now, as the dust begins to settle, I am planting things in your life that were impossible to receive before. These aren't temporary fixes, these are eternal seeds. Seeds of joy that isn't based on circumstance. Seeds of strength that aren't dependent on approval. Seeds of peace that hold firm when everything else is uncertain. And they're taking root in the very places where pain once lived. The blessing is emerging from the cracks, not in spite of the breaking, but because of it. You thought your story was shattered, but I'm writing beauty into the fractures. You assumed the loss was the end, but it was actually the beginning of your true alignment with me. What you see as ruins, I see as readiness. What you feel as weakness, I see as space for my power to move. You won't go back to who you were, and you're not supposed to. That version of you wasn't equipped to carry what I'm about to pour out. But this new version, refined, resilient, and rooted, will overflow with blessing that will touch others beyond what you imagine. I'm not rebuilding the old, I'm creating something brand new. And the blessing I'm sending now will not compete with fear. It will not fight for space with old mindsets. It will not be cramped by idols or insecurities. It will flourish freely, because the breaking cleared the way. So lift your head, child. The shaking wasn't your ruin, it was your reset. And what's coming will make you understand why it had to happen exactly as it did. The blessing isn't just ahead of you. It's already breaking through. Watch for it. Receive it. Because I never allow pain without purpose. And this time, what grows from the ground of your surrender will carry a fragrance of my glory that nothing can cover up again. You've grown used to walking with heaviness, haven't you? It crept in quietly, disguised as responsibility, layered in unspoken expectations, wrapped in emotional fatigue. You've carried burdens that were never yours to keep. You've held on to the weight of things you didn't cause, couldn't fix, and were never meant to manage alone. Even the strong parts of you have grown tired. You've smiled through exhaustion, encouraged others while breaking internally, and kept moving because stopping felt like defeat. But I see the strain. I see the quiet sighs at the end of long days. I see how you've tried to remain steady while your heart whispered, "I don't know how much more I can hold." You haven't said it out loud, but I've heard every word buried inside. And now, I say this with clarity. I am reaching for what's crushing you. I am lifting what you've been silently carrying. My hand is underneath the very thing that has bowed your shoulders and drained your strength. You are not meant to live weighed down by what I have already offered to carry. You are not supposed to feel like every day is survival. I did not call you to constant strain. I called you to abide in me. I am not handing you more. I am lightening the load. And I'm not asking you to figure out how. I'm asking you to let go, right here in this moment. You've been taught to endure, and I honor your endurance. But now I want to show you what it means to be upheld. I want you to experience my strength, replacing your strain. I want you to walk into rooms not with the pressure to perform, but with the peace of knowing I've gone before you. The weight of expectations you've placed on yourself, I'm removing them. The emotional burden of being the one who always holds it together, I'm releasing you from it. The spiritual weight of trying to earn what I already gave freely, I'm lifting that too. You see, my child, I never created you to live in constant tension. I didn't call you to wear strength like armor and silence like a badge. I called you to live unburdened, carried, shielded by grace, and led by peace. The load you're under right now, the decisions, the deadlines, the emotional weariness, the inner pressure, all of it is being exchanged for something lighter, something holy. As you read this, my spirit is moving in your atmosphere. You may not feel it instantly, but it's happening. I'm placing peace in the spaces where stress had settled. I'm pouring calm into the places where chaos had grown roots. I'm untangling the knots in your mind, removing the fatigue in your bones, silencing the voice that said you always have to be strong or everything will fall apart. That's not your role, that's mine. I hold it all together. I sustain what you surrender. And now, I am giving you rest, not just for your body, but for your soul. Real rest. The kind that doesn't come from sleeping more, but from striving less. The kind that doesn't require escaping life, but invites you to live from a place of grace. You've carried burdens for long enough. You held up others while secretly asking, but who holds me? I do. I always have. And now, you will feel that in ways you never have before. You are entering a season of release, not because the world around you will get easier, but because the weight within you will grow lighter. I will teach you to walk unburdened, to live unshaken, to rest without guilt. I will remind you daily that my yoke is easy and my burden is light. You were never meant to break under what I died to lift. And from this moment forward, let this truth settle deeply. I am lifting the weight, and you are free to breathe again. There were moments you looked around and felt completely invisible, not because no one was there, but because no one truly saw what you were holding inside. You stood in rooms full of people and still felt like you were carrying your burdens in isolation, wondering if anyone could feel the weight pressing on your spirit. But while the world overlooked the depth of your struggle, I never missed a single detail. My presence has encircled you like a shield, even in the moments when you couldn't feel it. I've been closer than your breath, more attentive than your thoughts, and more present than any comfort this world could offer. You may have mistaken my silence for absence, But I was quietly holding you through it all, strengthening your resolve when you were too weary to speak, comforting your soul when your prayers were reduced to tears, and surrounding your every step even when you couldn't sense my hand. You've questioned if I've been distant because the voices of fear grew louder and the evidence of breakthrough seemed delayed. But I haven't moved away. I've been walking with you, whispering peace into the storm and reinforcing your soul when it was tempted to collapse. You are not forgotten in the shadows. You are not abandoned in the waiting. You are not unseen in the stillness. I have stood with you when others left. I have leaned in when others turned away. And when you laid awake at night trying to quiet the questions that echoed through your mind, I was already working on answers your heart would soon understand. You haven't taken a single breath outside of my awareness. My spirit has wrapped around your every moment, not just to observe, but to uphold. Even when your emotions said I feel alone, your reality in me said I am covered. The enemy has tried to convince you that you've been forsaken, that you've been walking this path unassisted, but that lie is breaking now under the truth of my nearness. I have been the constant through every transition. I have been the anchor beneath every wave. I have been the unseen embrace in the moments you thought you had no one. You were never walking in circles, you were walking with me. I've been the stillness in your chaos, the voice in your silence, the strength in your emptiness. And now I want you to know, not just in theory but in experience, that my presence is not dependent on your perception. I'm not limited by your feelings. I am who I am, and I am always with you. You don't need to chase me down. I'm already here. You don't have to beg for me to notice. I've never taken my eyes off you. Even when your worship was quiet. Even when your faith felt faint. Even when you were too tired to pray. I remained unwavering. My love has not fluctuated with your emotions. My nearness has not shifted with your circumstances. I'm still here, and I always will be. I'm the God who walks with the wounded, who stays with the confused, who waits patiently beside those who feel numb and unsure. You don't have to feel me to be held by me, and you don't have to say the perfect words to be embraced. My presence is not a reward for performance. It's a promise rooted in covenant. I go where you go. I stay when others leave. I hold fast when everything else lets go. And even now, as you read this, I am sitting with you, not as a distant figure, but as a loving father who delights in simply being near his child. You are not alone. Not in this battle. Not in this valley. Not in this process. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Rest in that. Breathe in that. Because my presence is not just with you. It's surrounding you, carrying you, and leading you home. You've walked through seasons where you were misunderstood, misrepresented, even mistreated by people who didn't see your heart, and some who did, but still chose to wound you. You've been silent while others spoke against you. You've remained faithful when dishonor surrounded your name. You've endured moments where it felt like you were shrinking while others were celebrated, not because you lacked obedience, but because I was teaching you the power of restraint under pressure. I've watched how you carried yourself with integrity when you could have retaliated. I saw how you kept your spirit clean while your reputation was attacked. You didn't lower your voice to match the noise around you, and now I'm honoring that posture. You've been in the background, building with quiet consistency, sowing in stillness, staying low when everything in you wanted to prove yourself. And because you chose honor, I am stepping in with vindication. This isn't about revenge. It's about recognition. I'm not elevating you to gloat. I'm establishing you to reveal my glory. I've prepared a table for you, not in private, but in the presence of those who doubted, dismissed, and disrespected what I placed inside of you. Not to shame them, but to show them what happens when a child of God surrenders to my will instead of seeking applause. This table isn't about proving your worth. It's about revealing my faithfulness. I'm bringing you into a moment where what I've been doing in you will speak louder than anything spoken against you. The same mouths that cursed your name will witness the fruit of your faithfulness. The same eyes that watched you struggle will see you overflow with what only heaven could provide. I am putting a divine spotlight not on your pain, but on your perseverance. They will see how I crown the humble, how I exalt the lowly, how I reward those who didn't take shortcuts. Your season of quiet preparation is now transforming into a season of public display, not for your glory, but so the world may know that I honor those who trust me beyond explanation. I didn't forget what was done to you. I didn't ignore the false accusations. I didn't overlook the rejection. I used it. I used the pain to deepen your roots. I used the silence to sharpen your discernment. I used the exile to develop your authority. Now, the same stage where they excluded you is being rebuilt to host what I'm about to release through you. This table I'm preparing is not built on bitterness. It's covered in blessing. And you won't be eating alone. Your enemies will see, not your retaliation, but your restoration. They will witness me defend what they tried to dismantle. But here's the beauty, your heart will be so healed, you won't even feel the need to point fingers. You'll be too overwhelmed by my goodness to dwell on old wounds. That's how thorough my healing is. That's how complete my elevation will be. You won't rise with pride. You'll rise with peace. You won't ascend with resentment. You'll move forward with clarity. Because I'm not just preparing a table, I'm preparing your heart to sit at it. I'm filling it with joy that erases the sting of betrayal. I'm surrounding it with favor that cannot be denied. I'm covering it with grace that speaks louder than your critics. You won't need to say a word. My work will do the speaking. And when they see it, when they witness what I've done, many of them will be humbled. Some will be convicted. And others will come to know me, not because of a sermon, but because of your story. So do not look back. Do not wish harm. Do not carry bitterness. Just stay seated in trust. Keep your eyes on me, because the table is already being set and the oil is already being poured. What's next is not just redemption. It's divine recognition. I'm making a scene, not for drama, but for glory. And your life is the canvas. There have been moments where the silence made you question your worth, where the lack of visible progress caused you to wonder if somehow you had fallen out of alignment with what I once spoke over your life. You've replayed past mistakes, revisited your hesitations, examined your flaws, and quietly whispered, "Lord, am I still the one you called?" And here, right now, I answer with certainty that will drown out every lingering doubt. Yes, you are still chosen. My choosing was never based on your performance. It wasn't fragile or conditional. It wasn't a temporary stamp placed on you until life got too messy. I selected you in love, not because you were flawless, but because my love is. You think your shortcomings might have disqualified you, but I factored them into your purpose long before you ever recognized them. My calling didn't come with an expiration date. It came with my signature, sealed in mercy and written in the ink of eternity. I don't revoke what I've ordained just because the journey got hard. I don't erase your name from my book when you stumble. I don't change my mind based on human weakness. When I called you, I saw it all. The detours, the heartbreaks, the times you'd question me, the nights you'd question yourself. And still, I said, "That one, they're mine." You've let voices of shame whisper lies into your spirit. You've let delays make you wonder if my hand lifted. But I never left. I never wavered. I never looked away. You may have paused, but my plan hasn't. You may have second-guessed, but I haven't second-guessed you. I still see the gift I placed in you. I still see the oil dripping from your obedience, even when it felt like you were barely holding on. You haven't forfeited your purpose. You've only grown deeper into it. This stretch, this valley, this wilderness, it's been refining you, not replacing you. I know what I put inside of you, and I know exactly when to draw it out. The silence you experienced wasn't a withdrawal of your calling. It was the cocoon where your strength was forming, where your character was maturing, where your heart was learning how to carry what's coming without being crushed by it. And now, I am reminding you of what's always been true. You are still mine. You are still set apart. You are still chosen to carry light into dark places. You are still assigned to bring healing where others have given up. You are still positioned to speak life into places that have been silent for too long. Do not believe the lie that you've missed it. What's yours can't be stolen. What I give doesn't come undone just because time has passed. I do not unchoose those I have loved into destiny. Your delay is not your dismissal. Your struggle has not canceled your anointing. And even your confusion has not erased your clarity. It's only delayed the moment I step in and part the clouds. That moment is coming. You'll feel it begin to rise again. The fire, the hunger, the clarity, the boldness. Not because you've done everything right, but because I never stopped holding you. I never stopped calling your name. I never stopped believing in what I created. You are not behind. You are being brought back into the rhythm of heaven's heartbeat for your life. This is not a restart. This is a reignition. I'm breathing on the embers that never went out. And you will see it. The fulfillment, the breakthrough, the revival of all that was promised. So shake off the dust. Break agreement with doubt. Stand up again. And remember, I never unchoose what I choose in covenant love. And I chose you. I saw the moment you laid it down. Not with loud words or public gestures, but quietly, when no one was watching, that sacred dream, once alive with hope, now tucked away behind disappointment, fear, and exhaustion. It wasn't that you stopped believing in me. It was that the delays wore you down. The closed doors spoke louder than your prayers. The silence wrapped around that dream like a burial cloth, and in time, you convinced yourself it was safer to let it go than to keep hoping for something that hurt to carry. But I never let go of it. I never buried what I birthed in you. I never walked away from what I placed inside your spirit in the first place. You see ashes, but I see embers. You see something that once was, but I see something that still is. And now, I'm breathing life back into it. Not the same as before, but stronger. Jabber. More refined. The delays didn't kill the dream, they purified it. What once grew from your desire is now growing from my spirit. And today, I am calling that vision back to the surface. I'm stirring your heart not with nostalgia, but with resurrection power. This is not about repeating the past. It's about fulfilling what I originally intended, now with my full anointing behind it. You thought the closed doors were final. You thought your mistakes were fatal. But I was simply waiting for the right moment to breathe again. I let it sit in the soil of silence not because it was forgotten, but because I was preparing the timing, the atmosphere, and your capacity to carry it the right way. I've been watching over it. I've been watering it with your tears, guarding it with grace, surrounding it with angels while you thought it had disappeared. And now I say to you, arise. Arise, dream. Arise, calling. Arise, destiny. It's time, not to revisit the pain of the past, but to walk in the promise that never left. I am reawakening your creative fire, your bold vision, your inner yes that used to rise so naturally. And this time, you'll carry it with clarity. You'll walk it out with strength. You won't need to force it or beg others to understand. What I'm breathing on now will carry a fragrance of favor that cannot be denied. The dream wasn't the problem. The timing was incomplete. The foundation needed fortifying. Your heart needed maturing. But now, the soil is right. The environment is shifting. And I'm speaking to every dead-looking thing and saying, live. You'll begin to feel it in your spirit before you see it in your circumstances. The stirring, the fire, the sudden clarity. That's me. That's my breath. You don't have to dig it up with your hands. I'm resurrecting it by my voice. You won't have to chase it. It will rise to meet you. Opportunities will reemerge. Passions will return. Doors will open that previously would have crushed you because you weren't ready. But now you are not perfect, not without scars, but ready in a way that surrender has made possible, ready in a way that only brokenness can prepare a person to carry glory. The thing you buried, I'm restoring it without the pressure, without the performance, without the weight of proving yourself. This time, it will flow with grace. This time, it will be fueled by peace. So don't fear the stirring. Don't doubt the return. I don't revive what I will complete. I'm not bringing it back to tease you. I'm bringing it back to finish what we started, together. And when it blooms again, when the pieces fall into place, you'll understand why it had to be paused, why it had to be reworked, why it had to be buried, not to die but to multiply. This is not just a return, it's a rebirth. And I, the Lord your God, am breathing on your buried dreams right now. Stand ready. They're about to rise. There's a lie that's been whispering to you, trying to convince your heart that you've somehow fallen behind, that you let too many chances pass, that you waited too long, and now what could have been is no longer possible. But that voice is not from me. I do not operate by the timelines of man. I do not measure your purpose by how fast you move or how early you start. I move according to divine design, not worldly deadlines. You have not missed what I intended for you. You're not too late. You're right on schedule with heaven's timing. The enemy has tried to use the appearance of delay to plant seeds of regret. He's replayed your past decisions, magnified missed opportunities, and twisted the truth to make you believe that my promises are expired. But my child, my plans do not expire, they mature. And what you thought was a lost season was actually a sacred setup. I've been ordering your steps even when you thought you were standing still. I've been aligning people, preparing places, and refining your heart for the fullness of what's to come. Every moment of waiting hath been preparing the soil of your life to receive what I've reserved for you. I don't rush destiny, and I don't allow it to arrive before you're equipped to hold it. That's why this process has taken time, not to punish you, but to position you. You are not behind. You are becoming. And now, the season of arrival is drawing near. I want you to shift your perspective. What you called delay, I called development. What you saw as postponement, I saw as preparation. And now, the indicators are beginning to show. In your spirit, in your atmosphere, in the way things are suddenly aligning. These are not coincidences. They are signals. You are stepping into the fulfillment of things you almost gave up on. The doors that didn't open before weren't locked forever. They were simply waiting for you to carry the right key. And now that you've grown through what you didn't understand, I am releasing what I never forgot. Don't let time steal your hope. Don't let the calendar define what only I can release. Your moment is not a thing of the past. It's been preserved in my timing. It's arriving not because you forced it, but because you endured. Because you trusted me in the long nights. Because you stayed faithful when nothing made sense. Because you whispered yes even when your hands were trembling. I honor that. And now, I'm bringing forth the harvest from the seeds you planted in hiddenness. The fruit from the faith you sowed in obscurity. And it won't be delayed again. What's arriving is tailor-made. It fits you now in a way it couldn't before. And because you waited, you'll know how to handle it with humility. You'll know how to walk in it with wisdom. You'll know how to protect what I give without fear of losing it. This isn't a second chance, it's a divine continuation. I never stopped writing. I never paused your story. I simply turned the page, and now, the next chapter is here. So silence the voice of comparison. Dismiss the fear of being behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not the exception. You are the evidence of what happens when someone trusts me even in the silence. And I'm about to show you what it looks like when a life touches its ordained moment. You won't have to strive for it. You won't have to chase it. You'll walk into it with peace. Because what is yours by divine assignment cannot be taken, cannot be missed, and cannot be delayed any longer. Watch. It's unfolding now, right on time. You've endured hits you didn't see coming, battles that struck from behind, betrayal that pierced deeper than words could reach, and emotional storms that left you gasping for peace in the middle of confusion. There were times when the enemy's attacks felt relentless, and the silence that followed made you wonder if I had stepped back. But I never left. I've been watching, not from a distance, but from the center of your storm, holding you together while the enemy tried to pull you apart. And now, what he intended for your ruin is being reversed for your rise. Nothing he used to harm you will be wasted, not the pain, not the pressure, not the losses. I am turning it all into undeniable proof that I never stopped fighting for you. The very areas where you thought you were defeated are becoming the very places where my glory will shine through you the most. His plan was destruction, but my response is demonstration. I am making a public display of what it looks like when I redeem what was meant to break you. The enemy underestimated the power of a child who doesn't quit. He thought your sorrow would silence you, your fear would freeze you, your failure would finish you. But instead, they've become the stage for my supernatural intervention. I saw what was said behind your back. I heard the accusations. I felt your heart break. And still, I kept working. Still, I kept protecting your purpose even while others tried to sabotage it. What the enemy crafted in darkness, I'm now using to launch you into the light. The setbacks he sent are becoming your setup. The trials he initiated are becoming your testimony. And you won't have to defend yourself. The outcome will speak for itself. The enemy tried to write the ending of your story, but I'm the author, and I never gave him the pen. He wanted to label you broken, disqualified, unworthy. But I'm rewriting every lie with my truth, restored, called, chosen, stronger. You didn't even know the depth of what I was doing in you while you were surviving what should have crushed you. You were being trained in the fire, refined through affliction, prepared through resistance. And now, you will emerge not damaged, but defined by grace. You'll carry the very things he tried to steal, multiplied with power and covered in favor. I am not just healing you, I'm empowering you. I'm turning wounds into weapons, tears into oil, opposition into opportunity. He thought he was burying you, but I was planting you. And now, you are about to sprout in places where he expected only ashes. I allowed the fight, but I never left you defenseless. I allowed the pressure, but only so that what's inside you would finally surface. You've grown through the battle. You've learned to listen deeper. You shed weights that once slowed you down. And now, the very evidence that was used against you is being presented as proof that my hand has never left you. What once caused shame is now being clothed in purpose. What once whispered defeat is now shouting victory. Not your victory alone, but mine, through you. Because when I bring you through a battle, it's not just about survival, it's about supremacy. The kind the enemy cannot deny. You won't have to seek revenge. You won't have to demand validation. I'm placing you in a position where the outcome alone will be louder than any accusation. So don't mourn the past any longer. I'm not taking you back there. I'm lifting you above it. What was meant to bury you will become the ground where I plant new purpose. The enemy will see it. The world will witness it. And you will stand in it, not as a victim but as a vessel of my triumph. It's already happening. This is your evidence. This is your sign. There are aches inside you that you've never fully spoken about, quiet injuries buried beneath your responsibilities, hidden beneath your strength, carried silently through days when everyone assumed you were fine. You've smiled with sore places still bleeding beneath your surface. You functioned while fractured, shown up while hurting, given your best even while carrying pain that no one acknowledged because they didn't see it. But I did. I've watched how you've managed to keep moving while privately managing wounds that have lingered far too long. You've asked for healing, but you weren't even sure what healing would look like, because the pain became so familiar, it started to feel like a part of you. But I never designed you to live wounded. I never intended for trauma to take root as identity. What you've buried out of survival, I'm bringing to the surface now, not to shame you, but to restore you. I'm not exposing your pain to the world. I'm exposing it to my light. I'm bringing gentle healing to the places you tucked away for years, the moments you didn't process because life moved on too quickly, the emotions you shoved down because it wasn't safe to let them surface. I saw every suppressed tear. I heard every unspoken prayer. I felt every wave of sorrow that washed over you when the room was empty and the noise died down. You were never alone in those moments. You were never abandoned in the ache. I've been collecting the pieces you thought were lost for good. And now, my spirit is going to the deepest layers of your story, those layered memories, the early fractures, the disappointments you minimized just to survive. I'm not here to judge you for what you carried. I'm here to relieve you of it. The healing I'm bringing won't be superficial. It will be temporary. It will go to the roots. I'm touching the origin of the hurt, the lie that said you weren't enough, the moment you were overlooked, the season you were used and discarded, the years you tried to prove yourself, only to be pushed aside. I'm putting my hand on all of it, and I'm not just closing wounds. I'm rewriting how they shape your vision, your voice, your confidence, and your identity. I'm restoring the version of you that existed before the pain spoke louder than your purpose. You're not broken beyond repair. You're simply in a divine recovery. And I'm not rushing this. I'm walking with you through it. You'll feel it at first like a whisper, then like a wave. My peace will settle over you in moments you least expect it. My comfort will fill the gaps where sorrow used to echo. My love will begin to soften the places that grew cold. And slowly, without effort, the ache will begin to lift. The bitterness will start to loosen. The tightness in your chest will be replaced with breath. You'll wake up one day and realize the memory no longer stings. The name no longer burns. The loss no longer defines you. That's what healing in my presence looks like, not forced, but faithful. I heal gently, thoroughly, and completely. You don't have to strive to be whole. You just have to let me reach the places you've tried to forget. I'm not afraid of your darkness. I bring light into it. I'm not overwhelmed by your grief. I carry it with compassion. I don't need you to have the words. I just need you to open the door. The healing is already beginning. Even now, chains are falling off your memories. Even now, the pressure is being replaced with peace. You won't always feel the weight you've been carrying. You won't always have to pretend you're okay. I'm restoring you from the inside out. The healing is real. The healing is now. And this is your sign that what hurt you won't hold you anymore. This moment was not a coincidence. It wasn't the result of timing, luck, or chance. You didn't stumble upon these words by accident. You were led here. I've been guiding you gently, even when you didn't realize it, aligning people, moments, and circumstances so that this exact word could find its way into your hands at the precise moment your spirit needed it most. There were so many other places you could have turned, so many distractions you could have followed, but my spirit drew you here. Not because you were searching perfectly, but because I've been pursuing you faithfully. You didn't have to earn this encounter. You didn't have to fight your way into revelation. This is my response to your quiet longing, to the groans that rose from your soul when you couldn't even find the words to pray. I heard the questions you dared not speak aloud. I saw the wrestle behind your brave face. I knew the thoughts you were trying to silence, the fear that maybe I had forgotten you, the doubt that maybe your voice was too small to reach heaven. And so I brought this message not as a generic encouragement, but as a personal appointment. This is me saying, yes, I see you. Yes, I'm speaking. Yes, I've been right here the whole time. I've orchestrated this divine intersection to show you that I know exactly where you are, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. This is not just a word. This is a window, a glimpse into how deeply I care, how thoroughly I plan, how intimately I walk with you even when your steps feel uncertain. There is no detail too small for me to weave into your story. There is no ache too quiet for me to respond to. I brought this message to you because you needed reassurance that I'm not far. You needed a sign that I haven't stopped writing your story. You needed something real to interrupt the flow of fear that's been whispering that nothing is changing. So I delivered this to your heart, not through a loud event, but through a still, sacred whisper. I bypassed your logic. I bypassed the clutter. I spoke directly to your spirit. And what you feel right now, that shift, that stirring, that softening in your chest, that's my presence bearing witness to the fact that this isn't just a word. It's a move of my mercy, a move of my voice cutting through every lie that said you were overlooked. I am the God who delivers messages at midnight, who sends answers before you finish the sentence, who places confirmation in your path before you even ask for it out loud. And I've done it again now. This isn't about motivation. It's about recognition. Recognizing that I know you so well, I would tailor-make this moment just for you. This is your confirmation, that I listen when you whisper, that I show up even when you're unsure, that I pursue you with relentless love whether you're on the mountain or in the middle of the valley. I don't miss the ones I love, and I don't leave the ones I call. I brought this message to realign your heart with hope, to pull your attention back from the noise, to awaken something in you that's been sleeping. Your faith is being reignited not because of what you've done, but because of how deeply I want you to know. I am still speaking to you. I am still guiding you. I am still choosing you again and again. This message didn't find you. I sent it. Because I love you too much to let you go another day thinking you've been forgotten. You haven't been lost. You've been led. And now that you know this message was from me, you can rest. You don't have to keep wondering if I'm near. You don't have to keep guessing if you've missed your signal. This is it. This is your sign. I came for you. And I will never stop coming. You've carried shame like a second skin, something you never asked for but somehow ended up wearing. It crept in through moments of failure, through words spoken over you that never should have been said, through chapters you wish you could erase. You've tried to move on, but something inside you still bows beneath the weight of who you used to be or what others assumed you were. But I'm stepping into that space right now to tell you, I never designed shame to be your identity. I never authored your story to be marked by guilt, regret, or humiliation. Shame has lied to you. It told you that you're disqualified, that your past defines your worth, that you're only as valuable as your reputation or your record. But I'm stripping that false garment off you now. I'm reaching into the places where your heart has quietly agreed with the lie that says, I am not worthy, and I'm declaring over you something completely different. You are clothed in my righteousness. You are robed in my redemption. You are covered by my compassion. I'm not tolerating you, I'm celebrating you. I'm not merely allowing you back, and I'm restoring you as royalty. I'm not interested in replaying the moments that broke you. I'm focused on revealing the honor I had prepared for you all along. I've watched you try to hide. I've seen the way you avoid certain places, conversations, or opportunities, afraid that someone will look too closely and see what you've worked so hard to bury. But I'm here to tell you, child, you don't have to hide anymore. What shame tried to cover up, I'm using as a testimony. I'm turning what embarrassed you into evidence of my grace. I'm rewriting the labels the world gave you and replacing them with words that come from my heart. Beloved, redeemed, anointed, trusted. You are not a collection of your mistakes. You are a vessel of my mercy. You are not forever marked by what went wrong. You are marked by the blood of the Lamb, and that mark speaks louder than your past. I'm removing every symbol of shame that tried to define your posture, and I'm placing on you garments of authority that can't be earned, only received through my love. You'll walk into rooms with confidence not because of what you've done right, but because of what I've made right. Your voice will carry weight, not because you've never fallen, but because you let me lift you. That's the kind of honor I'm giving, not based on worldly titles, but on heavenly commissioning. I've seen how shame tried to silence your voice. It told you that because of your story, you should stay in the background. But I'm calling you forward. I'm giving you influence that reflects my heart. I'm placing divine authority on your words. Your pain has given you compassion, and your wounds have birthed wisdom. You don't speak from perfection. You speak from encounter. And that's what makes your voice powerful in this hour. You will no longer bow your head in defeat. You will lift your eyes in purpose. You will no longer walk like a prisoner of your past. You will run like a child who knows they've been released and restored. I'm giving you new garments today, clean, radiant, royal. I'm adorning you with strength and dignity. I'm crowning you with favor. And the best part, this honor isn't temporary. It won't fade with opinion or circumstance. It's sealed in covenant. It's anchored in grace. So take off the shame, it was never meant to fit you, and receive what I'm placing on you now. You don't have to earn it. You just have to believe that I, your Father, see you through the lens of redemption. You are not what you were. You are who I say you are. And I say you are honored. I say you are ready. I say you are mine. I've seen the way you've questioned yourself lately, quietly, painfully, in the moments between responsibilities and distractions, where your thoughts settle and that familiar fear begins to whisper again, what if I can't handle this? You've looked at what's ahead and then looked at your hands, and it hasn't seemed to match. You see all the things you lack, all the weaknesses you've tried to hide, all the battles that made you feel smaller than your calling. But I don't choose based on human perception. I don't anoint based on visible ability. I look at your willingness, your surrender, and your quiet yes when no one else was watching. You may not feel strong, but I didn't call you because you were confident. I called you because I knew what I placed inside of you. And now, I'm about to reveal it, not just to others, but to you. You're going to see a strength rise from within that you didn't know was there. You'll speak with boldness that didn't come from books or practice, but from the Spirit of the living God flowing through your lips. You'll step into situations you once avoided and realize you're no longer the same person who feared them. Because I've been building you, not on stages but in secret. Not with applause, but with pressure. Not in comfort, but in consecration. I've been forming a backbone in you made of faith, not pride. A resilience that doesn't flex in arrogance but stands in authority. You thought strength looked like never breaking, but I say strength looks like showing up when everything in you wants to hide. Strength looks like trusting me when your emotions are weary and your vision is blurry. Strength looks like saying I'm still here when everything around you says you shouldn't be. You haven't failed because you felt afraid. You've succeeded because you kept walking anyway. Every trial, every delay, every test has been shaping you for this moment. And now you're ready, even if you don't feel like it. I'm calling you higher. Not because you've mastered everything, but because you've matured through what tried to crush you. You've allowed me to stretch your capacity. You've allowed me to train your spirit when others trained for recognition. You've allowed me to prune you when you didn't understand what was being removed. And now, I'm filling those empty places with strength from above. Not the kind that boasts, but the kind that withstands. Not the kind that intimidates, but the kind that stands firm in identity. You've been asking me, Lord, how can I do this? And I'm answering now, because I'm with you. Because I've gone before you. Because I've planted power in your bones and fire in your spirit that you've only begun to discover. You won't have to fake it. You won't have to strive. You won't have to carry the burden of impressing others. I'm not calling you to pretend to be strong. I'm calling you to tap into the well of grace that I placed in you long ago. It hasn't dried up. It's just been waiting for this moment to pour forth. So walk forward, even if your knees are trembling. Go where I send you, even if your hands feel unsteady. Speak what I give you, even if your voice shakes. I'll meet you there. And once you step into what I've been preparing you for, you'll realize that the strength you thought you lacked was always wrapped in trust. It's not about perfection, it's about partnership with me. And with me, you can't fail. So stop measuring your readiness by how confident you feel. Measure it by how present I am. And I'm here. I'm in you. I'm working through you. And I will prove, not just to the world, but to your own heart, that you are more than capable. You are chosen. You are equipped. And you are about to step into the evidence of that truth. You've grown familiar with walking alone, not because you chose solitude, but because the journey demanded it. You've outgrown connections that once felt like home, and though you didn't always understand why certain people drifted or departed, something in you knew it was necessary. You've watched friendships fade, support disappear, and circles shrink, and through it all, you quietly wondered if you'd have to face what's next without anyone who truly understands the weight of what you carry. But I want you to know, you were never meant to walk this entire road alone. The isolation wasn't your permanent condition, it was your preparation. I allowed separation not to punish you, but to protect what I was building in you. You needed room to heal without distraction. You needed space to grow without compromise. I pulled you away so I could pull you deeper into me, and now that foundation is strong. And because your foundation has changed, your community must change too. I am not just opening doors for your purpose, I'm sending people who will help you walk through them. The ones I'm preparing for you are not coming with hidden agendas or shallow intentions. They are coming with kingdom alignment. These are people who will speak life into you, not because they want something from you, but because they are assigned to stand with you. I am removing counterfeit support and replacing it with covenant connection. These won't be people who drain you. They will refresh you. They will see you without competing with you. They will celebrate your rising without feeling threatened. They will hold up your arms when the weight grows heavy, not out of obligation, but out of divine loyalty. I've been speaking to hearts behind the scenes. I've been stirring spirits who haven't even met you yet. I've been orchestrating relationships that will arrive at the exact moment you need them. These connections will be marked by peace, not pressure. By purpose, not pretense. You won't have to force them, chase them, or manipulate them to stay. They will know they are sent. And you will know it too. Because their presence will carry my confirmation. There will be ease, clarity, and mutual honor. These will be your builders, your burden bearers, your safe places. You've carried vision in silence long enough. Now I'm giving you people who can hear it, hold it, and help nurture it. You've prayed for people who understand your heart. You've longed for conversations that don't require constant explanation. You've waited for someone to truly see the real you without fear or judgment. And I've heard those prayers. I've seen your heartache in the absence of deep connection. And now, I am restoring what loneliness tried to convince you you'd never find. These new relationships are not random. They are redemptive. They will restore your hope in community. They will revive the parts of you that stopped believing people could stay. And they will prove that I don't just call you. I surround you. I support what I send. I cover what I create. And I never commissioned without also building a team to sustain the mission. So don't mourn who left. Don't resent who couldn't stay. They served their purpose in the season they were given. But now, I'm doing a new thing. I'm creating divine companionship that won't crumble under the pressure of your calling. This is the beginning of something different. Watch as I bring the right voices into your life. Watch as I connect you with those who have been prepared just as intentionally as you have. They will speak with wisdom. They will walk with integrity. And most of all, they will walk with me. I am forming a circle around you, one rooted in spirit, truth, and love. And this is your sign. The season of walking misunderstood is ending. The time of walking with the right ones is beginning. You felt the stretch between what I've shown you and what you currently hold. You've seen glimpses of the vision, caught pieces of the promise, sensed the magnitude of what's coming, and yet your hands have looked too empty to carry it. You've wondered how something so big could be birthed from such limited means. You've looked at your account, your network, your strength, and your timeline and asked quietly, Lord, how will this ever be enough? But what you call lack, I call a starting point. What looks insufficient in your eyes is just the raw material I use to display my glory. I never ask you to supply the entire blueprint. I ask you to trust me with what you have. I am the source, not you. I don't call you to carry the weight of provision. I call you to carry the faith of obedience. And now, because you have continued to trust me with little, I'm releasing what is needed for much. I'm unlocking doors that were sealed shut. I'm tapping hearts of people you've never met, stirring them with an unexplainable desire to bless you. I'm releasing ideas, connections, opportunities, and resources that have been waiting behind the veil for such a time as this. These are not crumbs. These are not leftovers. What I'm releasing is tailor-made, timely, and sufficient for every need connected to your calling. You've not been overlooked. You've been reserved. I've hidden provision until the moment it would carry purpose, not pressure. I didn't want what I gave to distract you. I wanted it to empower you. That's why I've waited. But now, the wait is ending. The stream is about to flow. And it won't be because you earned it. It will be because I promised it. I'm not blessing you so you can boast. I'm providing because I'm faithful. The vision I gave you wasn't to tease you. It was to prepare you. And now I'm backing that vision with provision. Not just enough to survive, but enough to build. Enough to bless others. Enough to sustain the assignment. The storehouses of heaven are not in recession, and I am not limited by what limits the world. What the system withholds, I release. What the market controls, I override. My economy doesn't fluctuate. My resources don't run dry. And you are not called to scramble. You are called to steward. I've seen the way you've tried to make things stretch. I've seen the nights you calculated costs and wondered how you'd continue. I've heard the prayers you whispered over unpaid bills and unfinished plans. And I want you to know, I heard them all, and I'm responding now. I'm not sending random help. I'm sending divine supply. The kind that shows up at just the right time. The kind that answers what you didn't even know how to articulate. The kind that reminds your heart, yes, God really is with me. I'm aligning unexpected blessings with intentional timing. I'm assigning angels to bring solutions where there was once only stress. I'm moving through the unseen realms to position favor in places your feet are about to walk. And you won't have to strive to find it. It will meet you. As you take the next step, the next piece will appear. As you say yes, the way will open. And the more you release control, the more I will release supply. This is not the time to shrink your vision. This is not the hour to lower your expectations. Dream fully. Plan boldly. Walk forward faithfully. Because I am the God who funds what I birth. I am the one who brings rivers into dry places. And I am the Lord who finishes what I begin. So take heart. The lack you've known is not your future. I'm unlocking what's been held back. And what's coming next will not only be enough, it will be more than enough. You've tried to move forward, but the fog in your mind has slowed your pace. You've asked, which way do I go? And still the answers have felt just out of reach. You've stood at the crossroads with the pressure to choose, but no peace about which door to walk through. And in those moments, doubt whispered that you were lost, but you never were. I was there all along, not delaying answers to frustrate you, but quieting the noise around you so you could finally hear my voice within. I've seen the questions that played on a loop in your heart. The what ifs, the what now, the did I miss it? You've looked for signs, prayed for dreams, even begged for something, anything, that would tell you you're going the right way. And here I am, not with a riddle, but with reassurance. I'm not hiding direction from you. I've simply been waiting for the right moment to unveil it, not when you were frantic, but when your spirit was still enough to receive it. That moment is now. The haze is lifting. The heaviness is breaking. What once felt blurred and confusing is beginning to sharpen. I'm giving you vision, not just for the next step, but for what comes after. I'm releasing clarity that silences anxiety. You won't have to keep circling the same mental loops, retracing the same indecision. I'm illuminating the path not with spotlight, but with steady light, enough for each footstep, enough to keep you walking without fear. The clarity I'm giving won't just make sense in your head. It will bring confirmation in your soul. It will feel like peace. It will feel like release. The pressure to figure everything out on your own is being lifted off your shoulders. I'm shifting you from overthinking to trusting, from stressing to flowing. This isn't about a dramatic sign. This is about divine alignment. Doors are going to begin to open, and the right ones won't require striving. The people I'm bringing into your life will carry confirmation. The environments I lead you to will carry peace. And my voice, that still, sure voice, will be unmistakable. You've been looking for a loud answer, but I'm giving you a quiet certainty. You won't need to ask 10 people for their opinion. You'll just know. Because I've been training your heart to recognize me, not through pressure, but through peace. I've removed distractions. I've silenced unnecessary noise. And now, you're ready to discern. Not just hear, but recognize, respond, and walk boldly in what you know I've placed in you. Clarity is coming in layers, in relationships, in timing, in decisions you've delayed because you weren't sure. I'm removing the fog so you can walk freely. You won't stumble forward guessing, you'll move with confidence. Not because you have every detail, but because you trust the one guiding you through every step. You've been afraid of making the wrong move. But I want you to know, even your hesitation didn't disqualify you. I factored in the wrestle. I understood the weight of the decision. And still, I've preserved the path for you. It hasn't disappeared. It's just been waiting for your courage to meet my direction. And now, that moment has arrived. You don't need to wait for everything to be perfect. You just need to move with me. I'm not sending you in confusion. I'm sending you in clarity. I'm placing peace before you like a lamp and discernment behind you like a shield. You won't be fooled by distractions anymore. You'll sense what's not from me and walk away with confidence. You'll feel what carries my breath and move forward with assurance. This is the clarity you prayed for. And I'm not giving it so you can stay safe. I'm giving it so you can step fully into what's next. So listen, not to your fear, but to my whisper. The fog is fading. The way is opening. And you're finally seeing what I've been waiting to reveal. There was a time when your heart burned with unshakable passion, for purpose, for truth, for the dreams I placed in you before others had the chance to influence your direction. That fire once roared with excitement, boldness, and wonder. But slowly, life began to press against it. Disappointment covered it with ashes. Rejection poured water where there was once heat. Delays made it feel like a slow fade. And over time, you started calling that numbness normal. You told yourself it was maturity, or realism, or wisdom to lower your expectations. But what really happened was your fire dimmed beneath the weight of things that were never supposed to be carried alone. And yet even as the flame became faint, I never let it die. I've been keeping watch over it, guarding the embers, glowing softly in the dark corners of your heart when you felt most cold. And now, I am calling it back to life. The fire you thought you lost is about to roar again. Not a flicker of hype, not emotional sparks. A steady, consuming, holy fire that cannot be quenched by opinions or trials or time. I am reigniting what life tried to silence. I'm awakening zeal that had been buried under years of endurance. You were never meant to live on survival mode. You were created to burn with passion that fuels purpose. You've questioned where your energy went, why everything feels harder than it used to, why things that once stirred you now feel distant. But it wasn't you losing passion. It was me preserving it for the right season. And now, it's time. This is your hour of reignition. You will feel my spirit begin to stir what has slept too long. You'll wake up with ideas that feel too alive to ignore. You'll speak with renewed conviction. You'll see through new eyes. What used to drain you will no longer hold your attention. What once seemed impossible will now feel inevitable. Because when I awaken fire, I awaken focus. And when I awaken focus, distractions begin to dissolve. You won't waste energy trying to please what was never your assignment. You won't keep chasing validation from people who couldn't see your worth even when it stared them in the face. I am freeing you from that cycle. Not by removing the past, but by reigniting your future. You were born to burn with something holy. And I'm lighting the match again, this time with my own hand. And this fire, my child, will not go out. It will sustain you in trials. It will guide you through decisions. It will refine what doesn't belong and purify what remains. It will make you bold, not reckless. Courageous, not careless. This is not a return to who you were. It's a rise into who you truly are. Because even when you gave up on the flame, I never gave up on you. I've been waiting for the moment when your surrender met my spark. And now, everything changes. No more wandering and apathy. No more dragging yourself through days that feel like repetition. I'm giving you momentum again. I'm fueling your inner life with a holy intensity that nothing can counterfeit. You won't need to manufacture passion. It will pour out naturally. People around you will see it and wonder what changed. And you'll know it wasn't effort. It was awakening. So don't shrink back. Don't hesitate. Don't talk yourself out of the stirring you feel. That's me. That's my fire. And it's not asking for perfection. It's inviting you to say yes again. Yes to the call. Yes to the assignment. Yes to the version of you that you glimpsed once but were too afraid to believe was real. I say it is real. It's time to rise again. The fire is back. A mission is alive. And this time, it will not die down. It will spread. You've spent years adjusting yourself to fit environments that couldn't contain you. You've minimized your voice to maintain peace, concealed your brilliance to avoid rejection, and edited your authenticity to be accepted by those who never had the eyes to see your depth. And over time, you started to believe that the smaller version of you was a real you. You began to confuse adaptation with identity, survival with purpose. You looked in the mirror and saw only fragments of the person you were created to be. But I never lost sight of the original design. I've always seen you clearly, not just who you've been, but who you truly are beneath the layers built by pain, pressure, and people-pleasing. And now, I'm peeling those layers away. One by one, I'm removing the false identities, the borrowed expectations, the heavy coats of performance that life made you wear. I'm not rebuilding who you were. I'm revealing who you've always been in my eyes. I'm restoring your sense of identity, not based on what you do or what others approve of, but rooted in who I declared you to be before anyone had the chance to name you something else. This reintroduction won't be loud. It will be deep. It will happen in moments of stillness, when my voice breaks through the noise and reminds you of dreams you buried long ago. It will happen when you walk into spaces that once intimidated you and realize you no longer need to shrink. It will happen when you speak with confidence not based on perfection, but on clarity. You'll feel something rising in you, not arrogance but alignment. Not ego but embodiment of truth. Because what I'm giving you now is not a role to play, but a life to live. Fully, freely, fearlessly. I'm returning to you the courage you gave away to stay acceptable. I'm giving back the fire you let dim because others were uncomfortable with its heat. I'm restoring your originality, not so you can impress, but so you can impact. There's a reason you never fit in. There's a reason the crowd never felt quite right. You weren't made to blend. You were made to blaze. And in this new season, I'm reintroducing you to the one who was never meant to hide, the one who was crafted in my image, anointed for such a time as this, designed with specific gifts that are needed now. This is more than healing. This is unveiling. You'll look back and realize the wilderness wasn't punishment, it was preparation. It was the place where I stripped away everything that wasn't truly you. It was the sacred ground where I silenced the voices that distorted your reflection. And now that the clutter is clearing, you'll begin to feel whole again. You won't need constant affirmation to feel secure. You won't rely on external success to feel valuable. You won't shape-shift to be tolerated. Because you'll know, deep in your spirit, that who I made is enough. No additions. No edits. Just you, bold, honest, holy. And when you walk in that, doors will open. Not because you performed, but because you aligned. Opportunities will find you. The right people will recognize you. Peace will follow you. And favor will surround you, not because of who you tried to be, but because of who you finally allowed yourself to be. This is your divine reintroduction. And it starts here. Not with applause, but with awareness. Not with striving, but with surrender. I'm reintroducing you to the you I've always seen. The one who was never invisible to me. The one who was never disqualified. The one I've been waiting to reveal to the world in fullness. Welcome back. You're not becoming someone else. You're returning to who you really are. And this, right here, is your unveiling. You've grieved over the things that slipped through your fingers. You've mourned relationships that ended without closure, opportunities that vanished before they ever fully began, seasons you wished had turned out differently. The loss hath been real. The weight has been heavy. And you've brought those ashes to me, asking for restoration, asking for me to give back what life, circumstances, or even your own choices took from you. But child, my plans go deeper than restoration. I don't just return what was lost. I reveal what was hidden. You've been focused on recovering the visible things, but I've been preparing to release what you didn't even know was missing. There are parts of you that never had the chance to grow because you were in survival mode for so long. There were dreams I planted in your spirit that got overshadowed by responsibilities and realities you had to face too early. There were pieces of your personality that you buried to keep the peace, gifts you left unopened because you didn't think you were qualified to carry them. But I saw it all. I saw the you that never got to flourish. I saw the joy that was stifled, the creativity that was shut down, the wonder that was dismissed. And now, I'm not just giving you back what was taken. I'm redeeming what was never nurtured. I'm awakening dimensions of your design that have been dormant. I'm bringing to life aspects of your calling that were delayed, not denied. This is not about going back to who you used to be. This is about meeting the version of you that's been waiting to emerge. I am restoring your innocence, not in naivety but in purity. The ability to dream again without fear, to hope again without the weight of disappointment. I'm restoring your voice, not the one that echoes past pain, but the one that carries fresh authority, born from everything I've walked you through. I'm redeeming your time, not by turning back the clock, but by accelerating what I've placed in your hands now. What once would have taken years, I will now do in moments, not because you earned it, but because I've chosen to redeem it. I am redeeming the years that felt wasted, the seasons that felt silent, the spaces where you thought nothing was growing, even the moments you thought I was absent. I am redeeming those too. I'm taking the days you thought were forgotten and making them fuel for the fire I'm igniting in your life now. There is not one broken piece I will leave untouched. I will not just return what you remember losing. I will gift you what you didn't even know you needed. New friendships that carry the healing your heart never voiced. Fresh opportunities that awaken potential you didn't realize was buried. Unexpected peace that doesn't make sense based on your history but fits perfectly into the atmosphere of your present. I am the God who sees beneath the surface, who restores not just what was visible, but what was hidden under the rubble of busyness and wound. This is your redemption season, not just restoration. Restoration gives back what was taken. Redemption operates what was broken and gives more than was originally expected. That's what I'm doing in you. You won't simply get things back. You'll receive what you didn't even think to ask for. you'll look around and realize, this is more than I prayed for. This is deeper than I imagined. This is the version of me I never knew I needed. And you will know it was me, working in silence, moving in hiddenness, not because I was punishing you, but because I was preparing you for the fullness of what I always intended to give. So hold out your hands, not to clutch what was, but to receive what's better. Because I'm not just giving back, I'm giving beyond. For too long, you've lived beneath a noise that didn't come from me, a noise that echoed through your mind in moments of quiet, voices of past criticism, old lies, harsh judgments, and the lingering sound of every time someone misunderstood or misrepresented you. These voices weren't always loud, but they were persistent. They questioned your worth, second-guessed your calling, chipped away at your confidence one whisper at a time. You tried to drown them out with distraction. You tried to outwork them by proving your value through effort. But no matter how much you achieved or how hard you pushed forward, the residue of those words remained. They taunted you when no one was looking. They crept in after victories. They followed you into rooms where you belonged, trying to convince you that you didn't. But I'm putting an end to their influence today. I'm not asking you to argue with them. I'm removing their authority. Every word spoken over you that did not align with my heart is losing its power now. Every label that wasn't born of love is being stripped off. Every curse disguised as concern. Every word that was coded in control but sounded like wisdom. I'm erasing it from the blueprint of your identity. You are not the sum of what others have said about you. You are the reflection of what I declared over you before the foundation of the world. And what I say stands. I call you chosen. I call you capable. I call you set apart for something sacred. I call you worthy not because of your perfection but because of my presence in you. No voice that contradicts that has the right to speak into your future. I'm silencing the voice of fear that told you you're not enough. I'm silencing the voice of comparison that told you someone else is more qualified. I'm silencing the voice of shame that told you your past is still holding you back. These voices have had the mic for too long, but I'm turning the volume down now and turning up my truth. My voice brings life. My voice brings direction. My voice brings freedom. And from this moment forward, it's my voice that will anchor you, not the echoes of what was never mine. You'll begin to notice a shift, a stillness where anxiety used to live, a clarity where confusion used to reign. You'll step into situations where you used to second-guess yourself and feel an unfamiliar peace that says, I belong here. That's not pride, that's alignment. That's what happens when heaven silences what earth tried to amplify. I'm going to begin reminding you of what I originally spoke over you, through scripture, through unexpected confirmations, through moments where my spirit rushes in like a wind and interrupts the old narrative with a holy one. You're not who they said you were. You're not what they assumed. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for my favor. I've placed my seal on you, and no opinion has the power to override it. Watch as the atmosphere shifts. Watch as the pressure lifts. What once triggered insecurity will now remind you of your authority. Not because you've changed everything overnight, but because I've stepped in and shifted what you couldn't. You've tried to fight those voices on your own, but this battle belongs to me, and I win every time. So rest, child. Let me do what you've been too exhausted to continue doing, defending your destiny. Let my word become louder than every lie. Let my promises drown out every threat. Let my spirit retrain your ears to hear what is eternal. You are not what they named you. You are what I've called you. And what I call blessed, no one can curse. What I've appointed, no voice can annul. The noise is breaking. The silence of peace is coming. And from now on, your future will no longer be shaped by the voices of limitation, but by the voice of the one who speaks life into dust and calls things that are not as though they were. You've been holding yourself together for so long that the idea of rest feels like a distant luxury. Not the kind of rest that comes from a break or vacation, but the deep, soul-level stillness you've been craving. the kind that reaches into your inner world and lets your body, mind, and spirit exhale. Life has demanded so much. You've had to remain strong in seasons where everything around you was uncertain. You've led when you were exhausted. You've smiled when you were breaking. You've poured out when your own cup was nearly empty. And in the midst of it all, you began to carry a quiet belief that true rest was something you'd have to earn, that it would come someday, after the problems were solved, after the work was done, after the pain subsided. But I'm speaking to you now. Rest is not a reward. It's a gift. And I'm giving it to you not later, but now. Not after you've completed everything on your list. Not once you've figured it all out. I'm offering you rest in the middle of the unfinished, in the tension, in the unknown. The kind of rest that comes not from having all the answers but from finally surrendering the need to control them. I see the heaviness behind your eyes, the tightness in your chest, the internal pace you've been forced to keep just to survive. But I didn't design you to live this way. Constant pressure was never my plan for you. I created you to walk with me, not race ahead or lag behind, but walk in step, in rhythm, in peace. And I am inviting you back into that sacred rhythm now. This is not about abandoning your responsibilities. It's about shifting the weight of them from your shoulders to mine. It's about no longer living as if everything depends on you, because it doesn't. You were never created to sustain what only my grace can carry. You've been functioning, yes, but functioning is not for him. And I desire more for you than survival. I want to lead you into a place where your soul breathes again, where your rest isn't fragile or circumstantial, but rooted in me. This kind of rest doesn't require a change of scenery. It requires a change of posture, a leaning back into my arms, a quieting of the frantic thoughts, a refusal to measure your value by your productivity. I know how hard it is for you to let go. I know you've equated rest with weakness. But let me reframe it for you. Rest is trust. Rest is warfare against the lie that you must always be performing. Rest is the courageous declaration that says, I believe God is working even when I am still. And I am working. Even when you pause, I continue. Even when you lie down, I keep moving on your behalf. I never sleep nor slumber. I am always present, always watching, always holding the things you've tried to juggle alone. So breathe. Let go. Receive this gift. This rest is not shallow. It's healing. It's deep. It restores you at the level where trauma tried to define you, where burnout tried to harden you, where grief tried to hollow you out. I'm filling those places with stillness, not inactivity, but holy peace that equips you to move with clarity rather than compulsion. From this place of rest, strategy will flow. Creativity will return. Joy will rise again. You will not need to run on empty to prove you're valuable. You already are. And from the truth, I'm calling you to lay down what's too heavy and pick up what's light. My yoke, my pace, my way. Come to me, weary one. Not for a break. For a reset. Not to pose your purpose of a to protect you. Because when you rest in me, nothing is lost. Everything is restored. This is not the end of your progress. It's the beginning of walking in it with ease. Welcome to rest, not as relief but as a lifestyle. This is your sign. You don't have to keep striving. You're allowed to rest, and I am the one making room for it now. You've been trying to prepare for what's next with limited clarity, doing your best to strategize, organize, and anticipate every possible outcome. But deep down, there's been an undertone of fear. Fear that things won't work out. Fear that you'll be left behind. Fear that maybe you miss something important. And even though you've kept going, faithfully doing what you can, part of you still braces for disappointment, as if you're always just one step away from being overwhelmed again. But hear me now. I am not limited by your pace or boxed in by your expectations. What I'm about to release in your life won't come through stress. It will come through sudden shifts. The pace I'm moving in this next season won't mirror the delays of your past. It will reflect the urgency of my intention. I'm accelerating things now, not because you're behind, but because I've finished building what you couldn't see. What once seemed like slow progress was actually deep preparation. What you thought was wasted time with me constructing unseen layers of favor and alignment. Now, the foundation is secure, and I'm about to build rapidly. You've been walking through seasons of careful planning, but I'm stepping in with swift fulfillment. And what's coming won't feel rushed. It will feel right. It won't feel forced. It will feel fluid. Because I'm not just accelerating events, I'm synchronizing everything. I'm causing timing, relationships, resources, and assignments to converge in a way that no spreadsheet could have mapped. You'll begin to experience what it feels like when heaven's pace overtakes Earth's patterns. You'll see opportunities unfold back to back. Doors open before you even knock. People show up who say, "I don't know why, but I had to reach out to you." That's me. That's my movement. Not chaotic, but divinely coordinated. I'm going ahead of you to clear paths and soften hearts. I'm orchestrating meetings you didn't even schedule and preparing answers to prayers you've only groaned about. And as this acceleration begins, don't panic. Don't question if you're ready. You're. Not because you've mastered everything, but because I've matured you in hidden places. I've refined you in the valley. I've taught you how to listen when everything around you was loud. And now, I'm sending you into places that require the quiet confidence you developed while others weren't watching. Your name is being mentioned in rooms where your feet haven't stepped yet. Your obedience has gone ahead of you like a fragrance, and people will be drawn, not just to your gift, but to my presence upon you. And yes, it will happen faster than you expect, but you won't feel lost. You'll feel found. Found in the flow of my spirit. Found in the rhythm of grace. Found in the unfolding of promises that didn't forget your address. So stop underestimating what can happen in a day. Stop believing the lie that says everything good must come slow and hard. I'm showing you that when I breathe on something, it doesn't take forever. It just takes my hand. And my hand is moving now. You will not miss it. You will not be left out. You will not be overwhelmed. What I'm releasing is not just fast, it's ordered. I'm aligning your soul with my schedule. I'm settling your thoughts while shifting your surroundings. It's a holy pace, a divine momentum that picks you up and carries you with ease. Don't try to figure it all out. Just stay sensitive. Stay willing. Stay close to my voice. Because in one moment, everything can change. And when it does, you'll realize that the waiting didn't weaken you. It prepared you to run. This is your moment to move with me. Don't hesitate. The pace is increasing, but the grace is flowing with it. And this time, you're not chasing what's next. It's chasing you. You spent far too long tying your sense of worth to shifting circumstances, unstable relationships, and temporary approval. You felt secure when the outcomes were good, when the people around you were affirming, when the doors opened smoothly. But when the applause stopped, when the favor seemed delayed, or when criticism echoed louder than clarity, you began to question who you really were. You've wrestled with thoughts that said, maybe I'm not enough, or maybe I misheard, or worse, maybe I'm not who I thought I was at all. But I am putting an end to that inner confusion. I'm cutting the cord between your identity and your outcomes. You were never meant to live at the mercy of external confirmation. Your value does not rise or fall with results. Your identity was spoken by me, sealed, secured, and rooted in my love, and I'm taking you deeper into that truth until it becomes immovable within you. This is not just about knowing you are loved. It's about living from that place without needing constant reassurance. It's about walking into every room knowing you carry purpose whether or not it's recognized. It's about being so grounded in my voice that other opinions can no longer define or disturb your sense of self. You are not what you produce. You are not what people perceive. You are not the sum of your successes or failures. You are who I declared you to be before you ever had a title, a following, or a platform. And I'm bringing you back to that foundation, Because where I'm taking you next will require a stability that doesn't crumble when people change their minds. I'm fortifying your identity so that you don't compromise for acceptance. I'm reminding you that you are already fully accepted in me. And from that truth, you will move with a strength that's not arrogant, but unshakable. No more bending to fit into spaces that don't honor your design. No more striving to be seen, heard, or validated. You will know, not just hope, that you are already enough, already equipped, already walking in the calling I placed on your life. This inner anchoring will change the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you rest. It will free you from the prayer to perform. It will silence the voice that says you must earn what I already gave freely. You'll no longer chase identity through titles or accolades. You'll carry identity like an atmosphere. The rooms you enter won't shape you, you'll shift them. Because you'll be walking in alignment with who I've always said you are. My beloved, my vessel, my messenger, my child. You'll look in the mirror and see past your flaws. You will hear your own voice and recognize the authority I've placed in it. You'll navigate challenges not from insecurity, but from a place of peace. That peace won't be dependent on people agreeing with you. It will be rooted in the fact that I've already affirmed you. And my affirmation is not seasonal, it's eternal. This isn't self-help. This is spirit truth. This is me removing every identity you picked up in pain. Every version of yourself you created for survival, every mask you wore to stay safe. I'm not interested in the edited you. I'm after the real you, the one I fearfully and wonderfully formed. And when you see yourself as I see you, everything changes. You will not tolerate the same limitations. You will not cling to what no longer reflects your worth. You will not apologize for being who I made you to be. You will rise, not because you've earned it, but because you've remembered who you are. So let me anchor you now. Let me steady you in truth. Let me define you once and for all. And from that place, no wind will move you, no word will shake you, no loss will erase what I've written over you. You are secure, and this is the foundation I'm rebuilding everything upon. You spent days, months, even years in what felt like a pause, a sacred but silent stretch of time where it seemed like nothing was moving, nothing was opening, and everything you hoped for kept hovering just beyond reach. You've watched others step into their moments while you quietly wondered if yours had somehow been delayed, overlooked, or forgotten. You questioned if you missed something. You replayed decisions, examined timelines, and held your breath, trying not to lose hope while nothing around you confirmed that breakthrough was near. And yet, even in all the uncertainty, you stayed. You kept showing up. You kept praying, even when the answers didn't come quickly. You didn't quit, even when giving up felt more logical than holding on. What you didn't realize, my child, was that in the waiting, I wasn't stalling you, I was shaping you. The time that felt like stillness was actually sacred construction. I was fortifying your faith beneath the surface. I was digging deep so I could build wide. I was removing attachments that couldn't come with you into your next. I was maturing your discernment so that when I did open the door, you would recognize what is me and what only looked like me. You thought you were just standing still, but you were growing in unseen ways. I was healing the parts of you that would have sabotaged the blessing if I released it too soon. I was preparing the blessing so it would be ready for your arrival, not just possible, but sustainable. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on time for what I've written over your life. And now, the season is shifting. What you planted in tears is about to sprout. What you committed to when no one saw is about to bloom. What you waited for is about to walk straight toward you, not as a reward for endurance, but as the natural result of trusting me when it was hard to see what I was doing. You will look back and realize the waiting wasn't empty. It was full of me, full of my protection, full of my whispers, full of the kind of transformation that happens when time isn't wasted, but sanctified. I'm redeeming every second. I'm honoring every sacrifice. Nothing you did in faith went unnoticed. Nothing you gave up in obedience was overlooked. Nothing you carried in silence will go without reward. I am not just the God of instant miracles. I'm the God of intentional timing. And I make all things beautiful in their appointed moment. That moment is now drawing close. Don't interpret the silence as denial. Sometimes, silence is how I sanctify what's sacred. I kept some things hidden because the unveiling will be undeniable. When it comes, it won't be small. It will carry my fingerprints all over it. It will move quickly, but it will feel familiar because your spirit has been sensing it, even when your mind couldn't explain it. The weight has softened you in places pride would have hardened. The weight has sharpened your vision to spot counterfeits. The weight has trained your hands to handle the weight of what I'm entrusting to you next. You'll no longer question if it was worth it. You'll know. The timing, the pruning, the refining, all of it had purpose. All of it carried power. And now, it's time to reap where you sowed in faith. It's time to walk through the doors you used to only pray would open. It's time to see the beauty in what once felt like delay. Because it was never delay, it was design. Divine design. And I am redeeming your waiting season by proving that I never left. I never forgot. And I never stopped working. I was just waiting until you were ready. And now you are. You've been sowing faithfully. With your time, your tears, your prayers, your perseverance. Often wondering if any of it mattered. If anything was really shifting behind the scenes. You've poured into people. Spoken life when you felt empty. Stayed kind when you felt invisible. And remained committed when results felt delayed. But here's what you couldn't see while you were in the middle of it all. The seeds were taking root. Widely. Consistently. Supernaturally. You've been so focused on what's next that you missed what's already breaking the surface. You thought you were waiting for a move of God, but the move has already begun. It just didn't look like what you expected. I've been growing something in places you weren't even watching. The very areas you assumed were barren are now beginning to bud. What felt like a desert was actually fertile soil. What you deemed as small and insignificant was me working in hiddenness. The conversations you thought were forgotten. I'm using them. The moments you showed up despite fatigue. I'm multiplying them. The obedience you gave without recognition. I'm honoring it in places your name has already reached before your feet ever arrive. This is not about some distant breakthrough waiting on the other side of more striving. This is about recognition, seeing what's already sprouting. I'm giving you eyes to perceive the evidence of my faithfulness that's been quietly unfolding right around you. You don't need to chase it, you need to notice it. What you're standing in now is not a place of lack. It's a field in bloom. But the enemy has worked overtime to distract you, to make you believe nothing is happening so you'd stop tending what's been entrusted to you. He wanted you to give up just before the increase began to show. But I stepped in. And now I'm awakening your vision. I'm clearing your spiritual sight so you can spot the signs of growth. You'll begin to see the doors already cracked open, the hearts already softening, the resources already lining up, the opportunities already circling. You're not starting from scratch. You're stepping into fulfillment. And it's not just one thing, it's layers. One breakthrough will make way for the next. One act of obedience will unlock another. One yes will release a series of divine alignments. Because I don't bless in pieces, I bless in waves. And this wave has already begun to build. You've been faithful over little, now watch me trust you with more. But don't be surprised when what shows up looks different than what you prayed for. It's not lesser, it's tailored. It's not late, it's perfectly timed. And it's not random, it's the harvest of what you've planted, even in the seasons when you didn't think anything was growing. The peace that's settling over you, it's fruit. The favor you're stepping into, it's fruit. The joy returning after so much sorrow, fruit. Not manufactured, not forced, just harvest, real and undeniable. So don't hesitate to gather what's ripening in your life. Don't minimize it. Don't second guess it. Don't walk past it hoping for something bigger. What's before you right now is my hand in motion. The people who are reaching out, it's me. The doors you didn't knock on, it's me. The opportunities that align with your purpose and stretch your faith, it's me. I'm not just the God of future miracles. I'm the God of now. And this is the season where you recognize how much I've already done, how much I've already brought forth, how much is already ready for you to step into. You're not empty-handed. You're not just waiting. You're standing in a harvest that's been growing this whole time. And now, with fresh eyes, you'll begin to see it for what it is, the beginning of overflow. What tried to break you will now become the strength beneath your feet. That season that nearly unraveled you, the one filled with questions, losses, and silent battles, it didn't just pass through you, it formed something in you. You may have walked out of it trembling, unsure of what it left behind, wondering if you'd ever feel like yourself again. But I was present in every moment of it, not just preserving you but producing something powerful through it. The very pressure that pressed you to your knees is now what has positioned you to rise. You haven't just survived the storm, you've been reshaped by it. You've been deepened, not diminished. And now, what once felt like the hardest chapter is going to become the launching ground for what's next. I am transforming what came against you into what now stands behind you, pushing you, not haunting you. It will no longer be a memory that stings, but a reminder of the strength that grew in silence. The thing you once called a setback, I now call a setup. And the very area where you felt weakest is about to carry the greatest authority. Because what you've been through didn't disqualify you, it qualified you. It gave you language to help those still struggling. It gave you insight that can't be taught, only live. It gave you compassion that runs deeper than theory. You don't speak from distance, you speak from encounter. You've looked pain in the eye and chose to believe anyway. That's what makes your voice powerful. That's what makes your walk different. That's what makes you dangerous to the enemy now, because he knows you've seen fire and didn't burn. You've walked through darkness and still carry light. And now I'm calling you to stand with boldness, not in spite of what you've been through, but because of it. This is the divine reversal. What the enemy hoped would silence you is now fueling your roar. What was once your prayer request is about to become your platform. Not to parade your survival, but to point back to my faithfulness. I waste nothing. Every tear, every night of confusion, every unanswered why, I am weaving it into the foundation of your next. You won't have to hide your past. You'll walk with it openly, not as baggage, but as a banner. A banner of victory, a banner of proof, a banner that says, God brought me through this, and He'll do it for you too. What you feared would be your weakness will now open doors to others' freedom. What made you feel disqualified will become the very reason you're trusted. Because you've been refined, not in comfort, but in the furnace. And now, you shine with a resilience that cannot be faked. This is how I work. I don't erase what hurt you. I transform it. I don't throw away what was difficult. I redeem it. The experience won't define you in shame. It will distinguish you in grace. I'm giving you influence from the very place of your former insecurity. You're not walking with open wounds. You're walking with healed scars. And those scars carry stories that will unlock chains in others. This is the beauty of what I'm doing in you. The struggle didn't bury you. It built you. The trial didn't defeat you. It equipped you. And now, as you step into this new territory, know this. The thing that once seemed like a wall is now your testimony's doorframe. Walk through it. Own your story. Carry it without apology. Because it's no longer just your pain. It's your platform. And I'm using it to propel you into places you didn't think you'd qualify for. Not because of perfection, but because of transformation. I'm lifting you up, not in spite of what happened, but because I've turned it all for good. And now, it will carry you. You've battled hesitation long enough, second-guessing yourself, shrinking back when you should have stepped forward, silencing your voice when you were born to speak. There have been countless moments when you felt the stirring, the pull, the nudge to move, to respond, to declare, and yet fear whispered its familiar lies. You're not ready. You're not enough. What if it all falls apart? And though you pressed forward, at times, there were also moments where fear talked you out of the very things I was trying to lead you into. But that season ends now. I am putting an end to the grip that fear has had on your destiny. It will not steal another opportunity. It will not rob you of another assignment. It will not wrap its hands around your voice and convince you to stay silent one more time. Because I, the Lord your God, am releasing a boldness that does not come from personality. It comes from my presence. This boldness is not loud for the sake of volume. It is firm with the weight of truth. It is not brash. It is unshakable. It is not reckless. It is rooted in revelation. This is not the kind of courage that comes and goes based on how you feel. This is a divine impartation, a spiritual backbone, a holy confidence that knows when I call you, I also cover you. The reason fear has been so persistent is because it recognized what was awakening in you, and it tried to shut it down before it could grow. But what it didn't realize was that even your hesitation was holy ground. I was working in your wrestling. I was growing strength in the tension. And now, what was once uncertain has become undeniable. I've whispered truth to you for so long that it's begun to echo louder than the doubt. I've planted fire in your bones that can no longer be contained. You are not timid, you are commissioned. You are not weak, you are empowered. You are not late, you are being sent exactly when the world needs your voice. And this boldness I'm releasing is not just for public moments, it's for private ones, too. For the times you need to say no to what drains you. For the boundaries you need to set in love. For the prayers you need to pray with authority, not anxiety. For the declarations you need to make when no one else is watching, simply because you believe what I've said is true. Boldness is not the absence of fear. It's moving anyway because you trust me more than you trust your feelings. You've waited long enough for fear to subside. But I say to you, move anyway. Speak anyway. Stand anyway. And watch how fear loses its grip when you stop feeding it with your silence. I'm calling you into moments that require courage, not because I want to test you, but because I've already equipped you. You don't have to feel brave to be bold. You just have to say yes. And as you do, my spirit will meet you in the middle of every trembling step. I will give you words. I will give you wisdom. I will give you the right tone, the right timing, the right response. Because this boldness isn't about being loud, it's about being led. And when you are led by me, no weapon formed against your voice will prosper, and no opposition will derail your assignment, and no insecurity will silence your spirit. I am setting your feet on solid ground, and I'm placing my fire in your mouth. You will speak, and atmospheres will shift. You will act, and doors will open. You will rise, and fear will fall. This is the moment where boldness overtakes hesitation, where courage silences excuses, where my spirit outweighs every voice that told you to sit down and stay quiet. You are not who fear tried to make you. You are who I've always said you are. Stand in that. Speak from that. Move forward now, not later, because I've gone ahead of you, and what I'm calling you to requires your voice fully awake, fully alive, and no longer afraid. You've been placed in situations lately that demanded decisions, stirred emotion, and pulled at your patience. The tension has grown louder. The pressure has felt close. And while your first instinct has often been to react quickly, to fix, to defend, to answer, I've been quietly urging you to do something deeper, to rise above it. Not in pride, but in power. Not through control, but through clarity. I'm not calling you to react from impulse. I'm teaching you to move from intention. I'm inviting you into a place where your steps are no longer dictated by what goes wrong, but by what I've made right. This is the shift, from survival to strategy, from defense to dominion, from panic to prophetic posture. You don't need to scramble to fix what's broken around you when you're standing in what I've made whole within you. The old version of you reacted, quickly, emotionally, sometimes out of fear or frustration. But that's not who you are anymore. You've been refined. You've been stretched. You've learned how to pause and hear me before the noise of the moment drowns out your direction. You've discovered the sacred strength in stillness, the holy authority in silence, the unmatched wisdom in waiting. And now, I'm drawing you into a higher place. Not just to see the situation differently, but to respond differently. You are not subject to the chaos. You carry the answer within you. And when you stop reacting and start responding in alignment with my voice, you step into the true authority I've given you. This kind of maturity doesn't make sense to the world, but it shakes the kingdom of darkness. Because nothing confuses the enemy more than someone who doesn't get pulled into the drama, doesn't bite the bait of distraction, and doesn't lose focus when triggered. I am teaching you how to command peace by carrying it. How to shift atmospheres not with volume, but with vision. How to stay rooted when everything around you feels like it's demanding a response. You will know when to speak, and your words will carry weight. You will know when to be silent, and your stillness will speak even louder. This isn't about disengaging from what matters. It's about choosing wisely what deserves your energy, your time, and your voice. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every opinion needs your response. Not every situation requires your immediate reaction. But everything, every moment, every challenge, requires your alignment with me. That's where your power comes from. From alignment, not adrenaline. From discernment, not defensiveness. From listening before leading. From watching before walking. I am giving you a new filter, not to make you hesitant, but to make you effective. Your reactions used to be based on survival. Now your responses will be rooted in spiritual strategy. I'm recalibrating your emotions. I'm refining your instincts. I'm teaching you how to be led by peace, not pulled by pressure. And as you begin to move from this place, you'll notice the change. You'll see the storms that used to shake you now pass without pulling you under. You'll recognize manipulation sooner. You'll step over a fence quicker. You'll say no without guilt and yes without fear. Because you will no longer be tossed by every wave of conflict or urgency. You'll be anchored, not in what's happening around you, but in who's residing within you. This is maturity. This is mastery of the moment. And this is how I'm preparing you for more. Because what's next can't be navigated through reactions. It requires revelation. And I've been pouring that into you, day by day, moment by moment, thought by thought. Now it's time to walk it out. Let others panic, you will proceed. Let others react, you will rise. This is your sign. You're not who you used to be. You are steady. You are sharpened. You are spirit-led. And from this moment forward, you will move not from panic, but from power. You stood tall in places that looked stable, trusted systems and people that felt secure, leaned on routines and roles that made you feel safe, until the shaking came. Not to destroy you, but to reveal what couldn't hold you. The recent disruptions in your life, the uncomfortable transitions, the unexpected shifts, these were not random. They were me, lovingly removing the weight of what was never meant to carry you. You asked me for strength, and I answered, not by reinforcing the shaky ground, but by lifting you off of it entirely. I'm not interested in making fragile things feel firmer. I'm interested in building you on something that can never be moved. And for that, I have to show you what's real and what's not. I'm revealing where you've put your identity and performance, your security and people, your peace and patterns. Not to shame you, to save you. Because I love you too much to let you stand on what's destined to collapse. I'm not interested in polished appearances. I'm after deep-rooted transformation. So I've allowed certain things to be stripped away, not because I'm absent, but because I'm building something stronger in their place. You've asked, why does this feel like loss? But beloved, This is not loss. This is alignment. This is me trading what's fragile for what's firm, what's temporary for what's timeless, what's my-made for what's God-breathed. I'm pulling out every lie that got entangled with your truth. Lies that told you your value was based on how much you do. Lies that said being needed is the same as being loved. Lies that confused visibility with significance. They sounded true because they echoed for so long. But I'm silencing them now with the sound of my voice. The voice that created you, knows you, and sees what the world cannot. I am reintroducing you to truth that isn't rooted in reaction or trends. Truth that isn't swayed by emotion or circumstance. Truth that remains, even when nothing else around you does. And when you're rebuilt on that truth, you will not bend under pressure. You will not break in the storm. You will not question your foundation, because it will no longer be made of assumptions. It will be made of revelation. My word is your new cement. My presence is your blueprint. My spirit is your strength. You will no longer rise and fall based on outcomes or applause. You will rise because you are rooted. And when others see the steadiness in you, they'll wonder how you didn't fall apart when everything shook. And you'll know, it was because I became your anchor. Not success, not certainty, not even clarity. Just me. Steady. Unchanging. Enough. So don't mourn the pieces that had to fall. They were never the foundation, just decorations. And you don't need decorations where I'm taking you. You need durability. You need truth that endures when the world forgets. You need conviction that remains when popularity fades. You need identity that is sealed in who I am, not in who others expect you to be. And that's what I'm giving you now. A foundation of truth that will hold your calling. A framework of wisdom that can carry increase. A soul fortified by grace, not ego. This is the rebuild. It's not glamorous. It's glorious. It's not instant. It's eternal. I'm doing it slow, deep, and right. And when I'm done, you'll be unshakable. So let me finish what I started. Let me remove what's cracking beneath your feet. Let me replace it with truth that's been waiting for your surrender. Because where I'm taking you next can't be supported by anything shallow. And now that you've let me strip it back, I'm laying the first stone. Truth. Eternal. Solid. You will stand, not because of what's beneath you, but because of who is within you. And that will never fall. You've been walking through what felt like scattered seasons, where everything seemed to be moving at once, yet nothing seemed to align. You've tried to manage the swirl of thoughts, responsibilities, emotions, and transitions, but still felt like no matter how much you organized or planned, something was always slipping out of your grasp. You've cried out asking, why does it feel like everything is happening at the same time? And I've heard every cry. Not one tear hath been wasted. Not one moment of overwhelm has gone unnoticed. You thought perhaps you missed a step or moved too soon. But child, this wasn't failure. It was friction, and I allowed it so you would finally surrender control and let me establish what can't be shaken. I'm stepping into the middle of your disarray and bringing divine order, not the kind that's based on your human checklist, but the kind that flows from heaven's architecture. This isn't about being busier or doing more. This is about my spirit setting things in place the way they were always meant to be. I'm not here to tweak your plan. I'm here to rewire your entire approach. You've built according to need, but now you will build according to assignment. I'm teaching you to discern between what looks urgent and what is truly essential. I'm giving you eyes to see what you've been giving energy to that has no eternal weight. And I'm gracefully removing the things that drained you, the tasks, relationships, and responsibilities that weren't from me, even if they seemed good. You're about to feel a new flow. What once felt heavy will start to feel light. What felt forced will begin to align. I'm placing structure around your time, your thoughts, and even your emotions. You won't live in reaction. You'll move in rhythm. You won't jump from fire to fire. You'll operate from a place of clarity. I'm not just giving you peace. I'm teaching you to guard it. You'll wake up with focus. You'll know what to prioritize. You'll feel a deep, quiet confidence that guides you away from distraction. Because I'm not just calming the chaos outside, I'm calming the confusion within. This is divine order. It brings rest, not rush. Strength, not stress. Vision, not vagueness. I'm realigning your daily steps with your eternal purpose. And in this reordering, you will not lose anything I intended for you to keep. In fact, what you gain will far surpass what I asked you to release. I'm breathing over your calendar. I'm touching your mind. I'm aligning your priorities with my promises. You'll begin to recognize when something isn't sent by me simply by how much it disrupts your peace. You'll say no with boldness. You'll say yes with joy. The fog will clear, not because you figured it all out, but because I've stepped in to lead. No longer will you wonder what's next while feeling stuck in what's now. I am placing one thing after another in its rightful place. Assignments, conversations, initiations, commitments, rest. Everything you need, exactly when you need it. And because you've yielded, you're about to move in a grace that multiplies your efforts and reduces your burdens. You won't have to run faster. You'll walk wiser. You won't try to hold it all, you'll carry only what's yours. And what's yours will prosper because it will be rooted in obedience, not busyness. Watch me make sense of what looked like scattered pieces. Watch me bring rhythm to the noise. Watch me create flow where you once only felt frustration. This is my divine order, and it's not temporary. It's transformational. Let me have the schedule. Let me adjust the structure. Let me lead the day. Because when I establish order, peace is no longer occasional. It becomes permanent. You're stepping into a life that no longer just balances, it breathes. And it's the life I've wanted for you all along. There are moments in your story that no one saw, the ones that happened behind your strong face and quiet perseverance. Times when you smiled in public but wept in silence. Times when you cheered others on while your own hope grew tired. You kept showing up. You kept believing. But in hidden corners of your soul, something quietly surrendered. Not all at once, but gradually, subtly. A dream that used to burn bright began to flicker. A boldness that once drove you started to hesitate. A hunger for more slowly faded into settling for less. Not because you lacked faith, but because your heart got tired. And in that quiet fatigue, something inside said, maybe I was wrong to hope that big, maybe this is just how things will always be. But today I say I saw it. I saw every moment your heart wanted to quit. I watched every silent compromise, not with disappointment, but with compassion. I never looked away from your weariness. I never turned my back on your silent struggle. I've been present in the places you thought no one would ever understand. And now, I am going into those deep, invisible places to breathe life back into what was buried in silence. I am touching the places where your faith fainted and reviving what quietly died while you kept pressing on. What others celebrate about you publicly, your strength, your perseverance, your resilience. I see beyond that. I see the version of you who almost let go. And I love that version, too. I've come to gather the scattered pieces of your surrendered hopes and restore them. Not the same way. Not to take you backward, but to give you back your capacity to believe without fear of being disappointed again. The surrender I'm asking of you now is not to let go of dreams. It's to release the pain that came from watching them delay. I want you to breathe again. To hope again. Not as someone desperate, but as someone healed. I'm replacing survival with vision. I'm lifting you out of emotional fatigue and placing fresh fire in your spirit. What you thought you lost in that hidden breaking is not gone. It's being renewed. I'm not starting over. I'm restoring forward. You will not need to dig up old plans or recreate past seasons. I'm doing something entirely new, and it will fit the healed version of you. You've grown in ways you didn't even notice. While you were trying to just keep moving, I was cultivating depth. while you were managing grief. I was maturing grace within you. You're not behind, you're becoming. And now, what once felt like pieces scattered in the dark will come together with purpose. What once felt numb will begin to burn again, not with striving, but with clarity. Your yes will feel lighter this time. Your hope will feel safer. Your joy will return, not because of perfect circumstances, but because you finally know, I've been with you through it all. And I never needed you to pretend. I just needed your heart, even the tired parts, even the hurting parts. You didn't fail because something in you gave up. You simply reached the end of your strength. And now, I'm giving you mine. This is not the end of your story. This is the part where you begin to live with joy again. Where the restoration runs deeper than what's visible. Where the healing touches not just your situation, but your soul. So stand still for a moment. Let me meet you where you laid your hope down. Let me show you that nothing surrendered in pain is beyond my reach. I'm restoring what quietly gave up, and I'm giving it back stronger, purer, and filled with peace that will not break when the winds return. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. I'm redeeming even the parts of your journey no one knew you lost. And I will finish what I started in you, completely. You spent so long pressing through, holding on, bracing yourself for impact, and moving forward with limited strength. Your prayers have often come from a place of holding on by a thread. You've whispered, "Just help me make it through this," more times than you can count. And I heard every one of those prayers. I honored every act of endurance. I sustained you through seasons that threatened to consume you. But I want you to hear me clearly now. I didn't create you just to survive. I created you to live fully, freely, and in the fullness of my strength, not just your own. This is the turning point. I am shifting you out of survival mode. No longer will you wake up and wonder how you will get through another day. No longer will you measure your progress by how much pain you avoided or how little you fell apart. That with the language of a weary soul. But now, I am giving you the language of the empowered. You will rise not from resistance but from rest. You will move not from reaction but from revelation. You survived long enough. Now it's time to step into your divine supply. I'm infusing you with a strength you didn't know you were missing. Not the kind that simply helps you hold on, but the kind that lifts you to new heights, with clarity in your mind and fire in your spirit. Your strength is being renewed like the eagle, not recycled like a worn resource. The heaviness that made every step feel like a mountain is being lifted, because I'm not just bringing relief, I'm bringing renewal. I'm reteaching you how to live again, not with your guard always raised, not with your soul clenched in anticipation of the next hit, but with open hands and expectation of good. I'm breaking off the belief that your life must be endured. You were made for joy. You were created for purpose. You were designed for flow, not just fight. Yes, the fight refined you. Yes, the valley taught you. But now I am bringing you to a place where you no longer draw identity from hardship. You will not bond to suffering. You will bond to grace. Grace that empowers, sustains, and equips. You will walk into rooms and no longer shrink. You will start your day and no longer dread what waits. You will respond to challenges not with desperation, but with discernment. Because you will know who you are and whose you are, and that knowing will shift everything. I am sending supernatural energy to your weary spirit. I am opening your eyes to resources you didn't know were available. I am bringing divine acceleration to areas where you've only known delay. And most of all, I am renewing your mindset, so that you no longer think like the one barely making it, but like the one already walking in victory. That's who you are now. Not the version who cried through every breakthrough, but the one who stands with fire in your eyes and knows the storm doesn't own you anymore. The enemy tried to get you to settle into survival so long that you'd forget you were built for more. But I've broken that lie off of you. I've torn down the walls that tried to cage you into cycles of just getting by. And I'm raising you up, Not to just keep walking, but to run, to soar, to thrive. This shift won't be loud. It'll be deep. You'll notice it when peace follows your decisions, when joy shows up without explanation, when confidence flows without comparison. You'll no longer live day to day in damage control. You'll live moment to moment in divine direction. Because I'm not just empowering your hands, I'm reviving your heart. I'm not just refreshing your body, I'm restoring your joy. You've endured the storm, yes. But now, it's time to embrace the wind that carries you forward. You're stepping into a season where surviving is no longer your identity. Living, fully, freely, joyfully, is your new normal. And I am the one bringing you into it. You've held on to some things not because they still brought life, but because you once saw me move in them. A place, a pattern, a relationship, a role. It was fruitful in a former season. It served a purpose, and for a while, it was the right place to be. But now it feels heavy. It feels dry. It no longer stirs your spirit. It only weighs it down. And you've been wrestling with guilt for even feeling that way, wondering if maybe you're being ungrateful, or disloyal, or impatient. But I want to speak to that hesitation now. I want to free you from the lie that says you must remain where I've already moved on. There is no shame in shifting when I'm the one doing the leading. Just because something was once right doesn't mean it still is. I'm not asking you to dishonor what was. I'm asking you to discern what is. You've outgrown some assignments because they were meant to be temporary. You've matured beyond some mindsets because I've been renewing your thinking. You've outlived some environments because they can no longer sustain the weight of the person you've become. And it's not rebellion to recognize that. It's revelation. You are not abandoning what I gave. You are following me into what I'm giving next. I'm inviting you to release without regret. To trust that I can call you forward without erasing what was behind you. I honor every season that brought you to this point. But I'm not finished writing your story, and to move into the next chapter, you must be willing to turn the page. The breath of my spirit isn't where it used to be. It's going ahead. That's why the old places feel stale, because I'm calling you out of comfort into consecration. What no longer fits is not a failure. It's an indicator that you've grown. And what no longer brings peace isn't a punishment, it's protection. I'm not just delivering you from the wrong things. I'm detaching you from the right things that have expired. Don't confuse faithfulness with stagnation. I'm not asking you to remain where I'm no longer breathing. I'm asking you to follow the cloud again. You remember when I led my people through the wilderness? When the cloud moved, they moved. When it stayed, they stayed. That's what I'm restoring in you now. A sensitivity to my presence more than your plans. A willingness to obey me even when the next step doesn't have a name. A trust that says, if you're not in it anymore, I won't try to make it work. You don't have to justify this shift to people who don't understand it. You only have to follow me. And as you release what's no longer yours to carry, you'll feel a lightness that confirms this was me all along. You'll feel the peace that follows obedience. You'll feel the clarity that settles over your thoughts. What you once fought to maintain will begin to fall away with grace. And what felt like loss will turn out to be liberty. Because I'm not just removing things, I'm making room. Room for new connections. Room for fresh purpose. Room for strategies that match your current calling, not your past survival. I'm making space for what's next, and what's next cannot fit into the containers of yesterday. Let it go, not in resentment, but in reverence. Honor what was. Release what is no longer. And step forward without guilt. You are not betraying the past. You are obeying your Father. And I promise you this, what I'm leading you into carries more of my breath than anything you're leaving behind. A wind is shifting. And so are you. Amen.